Chapter 1674. Li Fan was speechless. He seemed to be playing the role of the young master of the Wang family, while the martial emperor was playing the role of a great warlord. This guy was actually barging in and trying to snatch Miss Yang away. In this place, the strength of the martial emperor should have been weakened, but he was a warlord, and he was holding a horse brand pistol in his hand, which was a Browning pistol. The martial emperor directly held the horse brand pistol and aimed it at young Master Wang's head. "You're just a minister of education, do you think I don't dare to touch you?" The martial emperor was very pleased with himself. In this place, whoever had military power was the boss. The martial emperor was very lucky. He had played the role of an adjutant of a warlord. Through his own methods, the martial emperor had directly killed his own master and quickly taken over the military power of the previous marshal. He had taken control of the 20,000 troops under his command. With these 20,000 people, the martial emperor had absolute strength in this era of warlords. With this kind of strength, wouldn't it be easy for him to snatch a woman away? The martial emperor was lucky. Firstly, his identity was good, and secondly, he had entered this world more than 10 days earlier than Li Fan. He had his own troops, leaving young Master Wang at his wits' end. Li Fan also frowned, the situation was too disadvantageous to him. If Miss Yang was snatched away by the martial emperor, he didn't know if his strategy would fail. Since the two of them were in the same small world, it meant that he and the martial emperor were going to complete the same mission. However, Miss Yang could only attack once. Out of the two of them, only one could complete it. He began to quickly think of a way. If he did not deal with it, things would really become very bad. "Big Sister White Tiger, is there any way? I can lend you my strength. Although it's not particularly strong, it can still be considered a form of combat strength." Big Sister White Tiger's voice sounded in Li Fan's mind, but this way, your identity might also be exposed. A person with special abilities, I think, will be incompatible with this era, and Miss Yang might also be afraid of you, right? Hearing this, Li Fan fell silent. There were too many restrictions, but this was also the rule of the game. Bringing the White Tiger and the Divine Fox in was already a form of cheating. If he cheated too much, he might be rejected by the system or even corrected. Who dares to be so presumptuous in Minister Wang's house? Just as Li Fan's brain was about to explode, a loud shout came from outside. Following that, another group of soldiers filed in. These people were obviously from the same faction. Their military uniforms were all gray, and the leader was a genteel officer. He even wore a pair of glasses, but his eyes gave off a fierce feeling. "Brigade Commander Qin. Save me." Young Master Wang seemed to have seen his savior and hurriedly asked him for help. "General Liu, what are you doing?" Brigade Commander Qin asked coldly. The martial emperor couldn't help but curse. Although this brigade commander Qin was just a small brigade commander, behind him was a powerful warlord with 200,000 soldiers. He was only a small warlord at the moment, and there was no way he could compete with the other party. "Young Master Wang is getting married. I'm here to send a congratulatory gift. This gift of yours is a little bloody. This is called putting on a red ribbon. If young Master Wang doesn't like it, I can just take it back." The martial emperor waved his hand. "Take it back and bring me 10 little goldfish." The martial emperor exchanged 10 gold bars for them and gave them to the Wang family as a form of apology. Although his wife was killed, young Master Wang had no way to pursue her. In a chaotic war between warlords, the laws were chaotic, and the fist was the law. And Brigade Commander Qin couldn't directly challenge the martial emperor. After all, he was just a brigade commander. It was not easy for him to stand up for the Wang family. "I'll give Brigade Commander Qin some face today and withdraw my troops." Before the martial emperor left, He said, however, Miss Yang, I'm afraid you won't have a good life with this young Master Wang. Why don't you consider me? I'll let you eat and drink, wear gold and silver, and guarantee you a life like a queen. It's the Republic of China now. There's no queen for a long time. Brigade Commander Qin pushed up his glasses and said, General Liu, what you're saying is a little perverse. Life is very chaotic now. Today, General Yuan is the emperor, tomorrow, Whip Lord is restored. Who knows what will happen? The martial emperor snorted. All right, I'm leaving. Think about it yourselves. The martial emperor left a few threatening words, turned around, and left with his soldiers. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief, but he cursed in his heart. The martial emperor, that son of a bitch, actually played this game. He wanted to force Miss Yang to take the initiative to join him. Since I'm here, he can forget about succeeding. Brigade Commander Qin, thank you very much for today. Young Master Wang cupped his hands at Brigade Commander Qin, sincerely grateful. What kind of relationship do we have? We're classmates and good friends. Brigade Commander Qin patted young Master Wang's shoulder. You were frightened today. It's your brother's fault for not protecting you well. How can I blame you? Who knew that General Liu would be so ruthless? Young Master Wang was very sad. My wife's body is still in his hands. I'm afraid it'll cost me a lot to redeem it. Marshal Liu is ruthless. We have to be on guard against him. Brigade Commander Qin glanced at Miss Yang, who was wearing a red veil, and did not continue. Looks like I won't be able to attend your wedding today. That's right. With such a big incident happening at home, we can't hold the banquet anymore. Wei Ning, I'll have to trouble you to stay at home for a few days. When everything calms down, we'll hold this wedding again. Miss Yang nodded, seemingly unable to walk due to fear. Finally, she returned to her room with the help of the two maids. Xiao Qing, help me coax her. I'll settle the matter here. Young Master Wang turned his head and said to Li Fan. Li Fan was dumbfounded. Fuck, what did he mean? As an elder brother, he wanted him to coax his fiancée. Was that a good idea? But he could not let go of the opportunity in front of him. Li Fan nodded without hesitation and turned to follow the two maids. Just as he left, he heard Brigade Commander Chen's voice behind him. Brother, you have to be careful. This Miss Yang might really be a little evil. Li Fan curled his lips. Feudal superstition. Since ancient times, emperors, generals, and ministers had always been like this. They took all the good things for themselves and pushed all the bad things to women. Once the country was destroyed, there would always be a woman to take the blame. Who did Miss Yang provoke this time? It was all because of the martial emperor's own stupid dick. Li Fan walked along the corridor, passed through two courtyards, and arrived at the side room where Miss Yang was staying. Young master. The two maids at the door bowed to Li Fan. You may leave. I have a few words with my sister-in-law. Li Fan waved his hand and used his authority to dismiss the two maids. Hee, beautiful sister-in-law, your brother-in-law is here to visit. Chapter 1675. Before Li Fan entered the house, he smelled a burst of fragrance. This Miss Yang seems to be very particular. Is the house that she lives in incense? Li Fan pushed the door and walked in. He saw Miss Yang sitting there, wearing a red dress and a veil. Her exquisite figure sitting on the bed is somewhat pitiful. Wei Ning, are you sad? Li Fan tried hard to remember. That seemed to be her name. You don't even want to call me sister-in-law? The woman faintly asks. Is it that you all don't want me to marry into the Wang family? No. Li Fan mutters, of course I do. But not to marry my cheap brother, but to marry me, this romantic and elegant transmigration handsome guy. I know you all think I'm a jinx. Young Wei seems to be very sad. She puts her hands on her knees, feeling extremely sad. But I really like your brother, he is talented and romantic. To be able to meet him is my honor in this life. Don't say that. To be able to marry you is my brother's honor in 3 lifetimes. Li Fan says good words to coax Miss Yang. Miss Yang is famous all over the world. How many men in this world don't want to marry you? I'm afraid none of the men in this world are really willing to marry me. Yang Weining smiles bitterly, they only love my beauty. How many of them are really moved by me? Especially since I carry the title of Jinx, I'm afraid these men are even more afraid to avoid me. How can you say that? Li Fan pats his chest, what about me? Am I not a man? Did I avoid you? You are also very good. What you learned is new and very useful. Yang Weining praises, your Wang family gave birth to 2 good sons. If I can also give birth to a son like you, that would be great. Do you want me to be your son? Li Fan does not know whether to laugh or cry. No. Where did you hear that? Yang Weining hurriedly explains, I'm just purely envious of you. If only I could have been born in a family like yours. Don't be sad. What those people like to say is their business. In any case, I've never thought of you as some kind of bullshit jinx. You are an intelligent and gentle woman. I admire your charm. Really, Yang Weining seemed a little touched. Yeah. Don't be sad. Take off the veil first. As he spoke, Li Fan reached out and took off Yang Weining's veil. No matter what, he had to first imagine the feeling of being a groom. Aw, don't. Before Yang Weining could stop him, Li Fan had already taken off her veil. A peerless beauty appeared in front of Li Fan, causing Li Fan to hold his breath for 2 seconds. My goodness, this woman is a little beautiful. You are too rash. Yang Weining wrinkled her pretty little nose and looked at Li Fan with dissatisfaction. It's the husband who removes the veil. It's all the old rules. Moreover, this is not a formal occasion. Yang Weining's expression calmed down a little when she heard this. Forget it, it's my bad luck. No, I swear, I will make you happy, Weining. Hearing this, Yang Weining burst out in laughter. You silly boy, what nonsense are you talking about? Yang Weining said with a smile, you're not my husband. How can you make me happy? As long as your brother is good to me, it's fine. Li Fan secretly thought, this woman's heart is so concerned about her cheap brother. Should I kill him? For a moment, Li Fan's heart was suffused with thick killing intent. But it was only for a moment. He immediately put away this thought. If he did this, what difference would there be between him and a martial emperor? If he sacrificed a woman in order to save mankind, Li Fan could not do such a sanctimonious thing. Even if he managed to catch her, he should not use this kind of underhanded method. What's wrong with you? It's nothing, Weining. You've been tossing and turning all day and haven't eaten anything. I'll go get you some food. Li Fan was about to go out when he heard Yang Weining say. Xiao Qing, you seem to be different today. Aw. What's different? Li Fan felt a little guilty. Could it be that I've been seen through? You seem to be a little gentle today. Yang Weining said with a smile, in the past, although you were also talented, you were always a little radical. After saying that, Yang Weining couldn't help but cover her mouth. I'm sorry. I said something wrong. It's okay. You're right. I may have been a little radical before, but I won't be in the future. Li Fan said, "Who knows what kind of loser I used to be? Maybe I was a student activist. In short, today's main purpose is to make you, the bride, happy." Li Fan said and went out the door. When he came back, he was holding some snacks in his hand. However, he saw his cheapskate brother standing at the door, looking at young Weining inside and talking to her. "Weining, I'm sorry today. It's not your fault. It's my fault for bringing disaster to your family." Young Weining's voice was slightly low, as if she was in a bad mood again. "Don't say that. This is not your problem." Young Master Wang also coaxed his fiancée. Today's matter happened a bit too suddenly, and the old man was also a bit angry. He decided to let you stay in the Wang family's courtyard for a few days, and when the wedding is ready, he will let you stay back. Young Weining's face suddenly lost color as she looked at her sweetheart in a daze. "You want to chase me away?" "I'm not chasing you away, I just want you to change places to stay for 2 days. You see, we're not married yet. If I let you stay here now, I'm afraid that people outside will gossip." "Yes, you have a good reputation, and you're afraid of gossip. I understand." Young Weining nodded, her eyes listless. "Forget about the courtyard. Living there will also affect your Wang family's reputation. I'll go back to Shuyu brothel." "Look at what you're saying, how can I let you go to Shuyu brothel? I love you very much, and I'm doing this for your own good. You have to understand me." As young Master Wang spoke, Li Fan walked up and grabbed his brother's collar. "Xiao Qing, what are you doing?" "Xiao Qing." The fiancé was stunned. They did not expect that Li Fan would come out and interfere. "To think that you're the Minister of Education." Li Fan stared at his cheapskate brother and scolded, "Foolish, ignorant. Miss Yang likes you so much, but you treat her like this. Do you have any respect for her? If not, how can you talk about loving her?" Li Fan's words made young Master Wang speechless for a while, but young Weining's body trembled slightly. "Xiao Qing, you don't understand. You're still young." Young Master Wang pushed Li Fan away, adjusted his tie, and said to young Weining, "That's it, you have to understand me." Chapter 1676. Let's stay in the courtyard for 2 days. Although we haven't finished the wedding ceremony, you can be considered as my wife. Young Master Wang said to Miss Yang, "Since you're a wife, you must listen to your husband." "All right, I'll listen to you." Miss Yang seemed to have given up. She bitterly smiled and prepared to pack her luggage. It might not be safe at home these 2 days. Young Master Wang said to Li Fan, "You should also stay in the courtyard. Marshal Lu doesn't know where it is, so you won't be in danger. Since it's so dangerous, why don't you live with us?" Miss Yang was suddenly touched. "Is he worried about my safety? That's why he wants me to live there? I'm the Minister of Education, a government official. He won't dare to do anything to me." "Then you must be careful. If you're in danger, I don't want to live anymore." Miss Yang's words moved young Master Wang. "Don't worry, I'll be fine. As long as you and Xiao Qing are safe, I'll be satisfied." No matter what, young Master Wang's words made Li Fan feel a little touched. His cheap brother seems to be quite good to him. "Let's go, I'll let Xiao Xing protect you." The young officer who had been protecting Li Fan walked out and saluted him. Second young master. "Madam, hurry up and go. Leave the rest to me." Young Master Wang arranged for the two of them to leave the Wang mansion. The two of them sat in a small car and walked towards the courtyard. "Xiao Qing, do you think I've caused trouble for young master?" Young Weining was sitting beside him. She had already changed into a black dress. Her pair of jade legs attracted a few more glances. She was looking out the window when she suddenly asked Li Fan. Young Master was Li Fan's cheap brother, young Master Wang. How could that be? There are warlords now and the world is very chaotic. Li Fan felt that this comrade Yang Weining might have a heart of glass, so he hurriedly comforted her. There are a lot of people who hate my brother. Even without you, I think those so-called Marshal Lu or Marshal Ma would also find an opportunity to attack my brother. I don't want to be a burden to him, or should I go through thick and thin with him? Yang Weining suddenly understood something. She hurriedly said, how can I leave his side at such an important moment? Zhao Xing, send me back. I want to accompany him. Li Fan understood Yang Weining very well. In this era, their love was very pure. Yang Weining believed that since she loved Wang Xiaofu, she had to live and die with him. However, Li Fan stopped Yang Weining and persuaded her. You won't be able to help even if you go back. My brother wants you to be safe so he doesn't have to worry about you. When Yang Weining heard Li Fan's words, she calmed down a little. Sigh, speaking of which, I'm still like a burden. No, I won't. You can stay here peacefully. When things have calmed down, we'll go back. All right, that's the only way. Yang Weining didn't have any ideas. She could only listen to Li Fan's arrangements. The car drove all the way back to the courtyard, but Yang Weining was still worried. Just as the car drove out of the Wang family's territory, a few gunmen dressed in black suddenly rushed out. One of them directly shot the car's tires. Zhao Xing was shocked. He quickly jumped out of the car, opened the door and shot at the gunman. Second young master, madam, quickly hide. Damn it, Li Fan pressed Yang Weining under his body. He knew in his heart that this was definitely a gunman sent by the martial emperor to snatch Yang Weining back. This brainless martial emperor had gone too far. With a gun, could he do anything he wanted? Zhao Xing had already knocked down 2 gunmen, but he was only one person. There were more than 10 people in front of him, and they were closing in on him. If he wasn't worried about killing Yang Weining, Zhao Xing and the others would have been killed long ago. Zhao Xing, give me a pistol. Li Fan shouted at Zhao Xing. Second young master, quickly take your wife and leave. I'll help you stall them. Zhao Xing was loyal and devoted. He shouted at them without turning his head. It doesn't matter. Give me a gun. Otherwise, no one will be able to escape. Li Fan insisted. Zhao Xing had no choice but to pull out a shell gun from his waist and throw it to Li Fan. This thing was also known as a box cannon in China. Even during the War of Resistance, many people used this kind of weapon. Li Fan held the shell gun and began to circulate the White Tiger's power, strengthening Li Fan's physique. His eyes could even see the traces of the bullets coming and going. Hide well. Li Fan pressed Yang Weining down on the car and jumped out. He hid behind the car door and began to fight back. He shot one gunman between the eyebrows, then another gunman's eye. Li Fan was like a sharpshooter. Every shot killed an opposing gunman without the slightest mistake. Damn it! They have a sharpshooter. Kill him. But there are only 6 of us left. We don't dare to show our faces. The remaining gunmen all hid. As long as they show their faces, they will be killed by the other party. They had a total of 15 brothers, and now there were only 6 left. Second young master, your marksmanship is too powerful. Even Zhao Xing was impressed by Li Fan's marksmanship. Second young master alone was enough to make the other party unable to raise their heads. Continue. Li Fan said as he got up and walked in the direction of the gunmen. Those gunmen were anxious. If Dong Xiaobin got closer, wouldn't they be dead? One of the gunmen couldn't help but raise his head. In the end, the moment he revealed his head was shot by Li Fan. I'll count to 3. Everyone, come out. The leader of the gunmen knew this wouldn't do. He took the lead to count to 3. After counting to 3, the remaining 5 people raised their heads and aimed at Li Fan. However, Li Fan was holding the corpse of a gunman in his hand. The gunman randomly fired a few shots and hit the corpse. Li Fan fired 3 shots in a row. 3 gunmen fell to the ground and died. It was a clean and neat kill. The remaining 2 gunmen had already collapsed. The guy in front of them was too abnormal. They were not his match at all. The marshal had sent them to snatch the woman, but how could it be a happy mission like snatching a woman? It was clearly a suicide mission. Bang, bang. Li Fan finished firing the last 2 bullets. The 2 gunmen who escaped fell to the ground and died. Li Fan had no way to leave them alive. If he let them go back alive, the martial emperor would be able to guess that it was him who did it even if he used his toes. Second young master, you're too amazing. Zhao Xing put away his pistol and walked to Li Fan's side. His face was full of excitement. I didn't know your marksmanship was so godly. I learned it from a friend. No need to make a fuss. Li Fan waved his hand and walked to the car. He saw Yang Weining lying on the car, shivering. Chapter 1677. Second young master, the tires are all broken, we can't leave. Zhao Xing glanced at the car, it was basically scrapped. The tires were broken, the door was also full of bullet holes, it was as miserable as one could imagine. It's okay. Li Fan looked at the shivering Yang Weining. It was obvious that this girl was frightened by the gunfight. He directly reached out and carried Yang Weining in his arms, then ordered Zhao Xing, bring us to the courtyard. Where the courtyard was, Li Fan did not know. At this moment, Zhao Xing had become his only hope. He could act as the second young master of the Wang family, he must make good use of this identity. From a certain point of view, Li Fan felt that his identity was much more convenient than that Lu Dashui. Yang Weining tightly leaned into Li Fan's arms, she trusted Li Fan very much, allowing him to hug her. This Miss Yang's figure was not bad, her weight was very light, her body felt soft, not heavy at all. This kind of beauty, Li Fan could hug 10 more. But not too far away, there was a rickshaw in front of them. In this public place, Li Fan kept hugging Miss Yang, she would probably have some resistance in her heart. It was good to do things moderately, if it was more than this, it would have the opposite effect. Second young master, we've arrived at the courtyard. Soon, they arrived in front of a small bungalow in the south of the city. This place belonged to the British concession, ordinary warlords did not dare to mess around, so it was relatively safe. The small bungalow was not very big, it had its own courtyard, a total of 2 floors, it looked very unique. There were also flowers in the courtyard, it was unknown who planted them. Big Madam used to live here. After Li Fan asked around, Zhao Xing answered him, today is Big Young Master's big day. Big Madam was not in a good mood, so she went to the temple to burn incense and pray. In the end, sigh, so this is where sister-in-law used to live. Li Fan carried Yang Weining, who was still in shock, and carried her directly into the small bungalow. The furniture in the house was relatively simple. It could be seen that the big madam was a woman who did not like to show off. The environment here is not bad. Miss Yang, you should rest here. Li Fan carried Yang Weining into the bedroom upstairs and gently placed her on the bed. When he was about to leave, Yang Weining suddenly grabbed his hand. Xiao Qing, don't go yet, what happened? Li Fan stopped and looked at Yang Weining. Don't go. I'm scared. Yang Weining was almost kidnapped today, and then she saw a gunfight. She saw so much blood and dead people. She was usually gentle and elegant, but now she couldn't stand it anymore. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Li Fan sat by Yang Weining's bed. I'll watch you fall asleep. Why are you so nice? Yang Weining felt warm inside. You're so good to me. If only your brother was half as good as you are. Does my brother not treat you well? It's not that he's not good. It's just that in his heart, it's more about the country and the world. Yang Weining sighed softly. Although this is what I admire about him. But if he could remember me a little more. That would be better. My brother is more ambitious. He's different from an idle person like me. No, don't say that. Yang Weining pulled Li Fan's hand and hurriedly said, You're also very outstanding, it's just that your character is not the same as your brother. I'm definitely not as good as my brother. Li Fan sighed deeply. Otherwise, why would you choose my brother and not me? You. How can you talk nonsense? Yang Weining's face immediately turned red. If you make this kind of joke again, I'll scold you. It's my fault for making a joke. Li Fan stopped and immediately looked at Yang Weining tenderly. You can sleep for a while. You'll feel better when you wake up. I don't dare to sleep. Yang Weining became nervous again. When I close my eyes, I can see those dead people. They're all staring at me. As if they want to eat me. Don't be afraid. I'm not doing that. Li Fan comforted her, no matter how terrible those people are, I still killed them. As long as I'm here with you, they won't dare to come. Thinking of Li Fan's heroic appearance, Yang Weining nodded her head, but then said, I thought your Wang family only produces scholars. I didn't expect there's a young hero like you. I'm not a young hero. I'm just a student who learned some spear art from a friend. Li Fan smiled and said, I don't seek to serve my country. As long as I can protect you, that's enough. Why do you have such little ambition? Yang Weining stretched out her hand and gently touched Li Fan's nose. With your ability, you should do something earth-shattering. Women like men who do big things. Since ancient times, the rule of the country is to rule the world. If you can't even protect your own family, how can you do big things? Li Fan's words made Yang Weining a bit surprised. This youth in front of her was different from the people she had seen before. In the Republic of China, these talented and capable people either seek wealth or fame. There would always be one that they wanted. But this youth in front of her seemed to have no desire. Women like ambitious men. Just like Yang Weining, she was obsessed with Wang Xiaofu's feelings of serving the country and the people. But this Wang Xiaoqing in front of her had another kind of charm that made women unable to help but be obsessed with him. Li Fan chatted with Yang Weining for a long time. From astronomy to geography, they talked about life and philosophy. Li Fan's way of talking and view of the world surprised Yang Weining. This person's way of thinking, it's hard to say if it's advanced or terrifying. But it's indeed incompatible with this era. Okay, it's time for dinner. I'll go prepare dinner. You rest first. You can cook. Yang Weining was a bit surprised. Why not? A man can actually enter the kitchen. Yang Weining felt a bit unbelievable. It's very normal. Moreover, the food you cook is also delicious. Li Fan said and was about to go out. Yang Weining didn't want to stay in the room alone. She directly sat up. Let me do it. You've learned the 4 arts, how would you know how to cook? Li Fan smiled. Talented girls in the brothel can recite poems, but cooking? Forget it. Then I'll go with you to take a look. Yang Weining was very curious. Without any explanation, she followed Li Fan to the kitchen. Do you like meat or something lighter? Something lighter. Chapter 1678. Li Fan made crab roast soup with some side dishes. He had Chiu Er, the chef, by his side. In order to make it convenient for him to eat something similar when he was outside, he learned from Chiu Er. Young Weining almost swallowed her own tongue when she ate the crab roast soup that he made. This skill. Even the head chef of Shuyue brothel might not be able to make it. You. Where did you learn this from? I learned it from a friend. Li Fan spouted nonsense. Your friends are really amazing. They know everything. You too, learn everything. Young Weining advised Li Fan, remember, a person's energy is limited. You've learned so many things, but you're not good at it. Yes, I accept Miss Yang's criticism. Li Fan immediately criticized himself, I'll focus on my studies in the future, so I won't cook for you. Anyway, there's no one at home to cook. You can cook if you want. Young Weining regretted it immediately. Li Fan didn't cook, and she didn't know how to start a fire. Where could she eat such delicious food in the future? Even if there were, Young Weining didn't want to let others do it, not to mention that there were no servants to cook for her. Eat more to nourish your body. You eat more too. You're still growing. Li Fan said, I'm already so old, and I'm still growing. Even if I'm acting as the second young master, I'm probably in my 20s. Oh right. Last time you told me. You wanted to join the revolution, Young Weining suddenly asked. The situation is so chaotic now, who do you want to fight against? Not necessarily, I just have this thought. Before that, it's my job to take care of you. Li Fan secretly rolled his eyes. He didn't even know what year it was now. The situation during the Republic of China was too chaotic. First, Yuan Shikai forced the Qing emperor to abdicate, then old Yuan ascended to the throne under the encouragement of his silly son, wanting to establish a constitutional monarchy, but he failed. Then, Zhang Sun led the Braid army to restore the throne, but he also failed. A few years later, the Japanese invaded, followed by the civil war between the Kuomintang and the Communist Party. All of these things happened in just a few decades. Li Fan didn't know which period he was in, but that wasn't important. His current task was to conquer Young Weining. In this turbulent era, as long as he could make this uneasy brothel girl who had married into a wealthy family fall in love with him, his mission would be considered a success. Theoretically speaking, this should be a small virtual world constructed by the Vermilion Bird. However, Li Fan could not overcome the hurdle in his heart. He could not objectify the woman in front of him. She looked so real that no one could hurt her. Xiao Qing, you can't just stay at home. How about asking your brother to introduce you to a job? You're a university student, and your marksmanship is pretty good. Why don't you ask him to recommend you to be Brigade Commander Chen's adjutant or something? With Li Fan's ability, he would be able to make military contributions very quickly and then be promoted. With Brigade Commander Chen's help, it should be even easier. There's no rush. Li Fan waved his hand. These are all small matters. Taking care of you is the important thing. Aya, why do you always like to put your energy on women? Because if you're not happy, I can't work in peace. Li Fan laughed, making Yang Weining blush again. You're doing it again. If you talk nonsense again, be careful that I report you to your brother. Go ahead. Li Fan put on a scoundrel's face. Ask him to transfer me away. You can stay here alone. Humph, Yang Weining was really caught. If she were to stay here alone, she really didn't dare to stay here anymore. She didn't know when those people who wanted to kill them would come again. Tell me. Who sent those gunmen? Yang Weining suddenly asked. I don't know, but they're definitely not good people. Li Fan didn't tell Yang Weining. He was afraid that Yang Weining would feel sad and think that he was a jinx or something. Maybe they want to take revenge on my brother and capture me. Fortunately, your marksmanship is good. Otherwise, you'd be in danger today. Yang Weining thought for a moment and asked Li Fan, how about you teach me how to shoot? Why do you want to learn how to shoot? You can learn how to cook, why can't I learn how to shoot? Yang Weining looked at Li Fan provocatively, didn't you just tell me that men and women are equal? Okay, then you have a good rest today. Tomorrow morning, I'll teach you how to shoot. Okay. Thinking that she had something to do tomorrow, Yang Weining seemed to be a little happy. Once she mastered her marksmanship, she wouldn't be a burden to junior tutor and junior minister, right? Who said that she only knew how to play the zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting? Maybe she could also be a handsome female soldier. After the meal, the two went to rest separately. The next morning, Yang Weining pestered Li Fan, wanting to learn how to shoot. The courtyard behind the bungalow was very spacious. Li Fan brought Yang Weining to the courtyard and placed a few water jars. Women's hands are small, and you haven't gone through any special training. Just use this grenade. Li Fan asked Zhao Xing to get him an M1906 pistol. This pistol is very small, suitable for a woman like Yang Weining. This gun looks very unique. Yang Weining carefully looked at the gun in her hand. She didn't expect that a killing weapon could be so exquisite. What kind of gun are you using? I'm using this. Li Fan picked up the box cannon he had used yesterday. This thing had been exaggerated in movies and TV dramas. All kinds of soldiers holding the box cannon, shooting from the front, from the side, and their marksmanship was godly. That was impossible. This is because this kind of box cannon is very easy to jump. It is said that the Westerners don't use this thing, but because of the warlords in China, they imported it in large quantities and produced it. However, if this gun does not have a wooden butt, it can only be used horizontally. This way, it can prevent the bullet shell from burning the user's face. Only Li Fan, with his strong arm strength, can use this box cannon freely. To Li Fan, the recoil of the box cannon and the jump of the muzzle are non-existent. This gun is so ugly. Can I try it? You still need to use it. Hearing Yang Weining's request, Li Fan doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Forget it. You can't use it. You should use this grenade. I want to try. Yang Weining is very curious and reaches out to grab Li Fan's gun. Li Fan is afraid of hurting her, so he let go and let Yang Weining take the gun. I don't believe that a woman can't use this gun. As Yang Weining spoke, she grabbed the box cannon and aimed at the can in front of her. Then, she pulled the trigger. Bang! With a scream, Yang Weining's arm was raised high, and her body fell backward. Chapter 1679. Li Fan took a step forward and caught her in his arms, helping Yang Weining stabilize her body. Yang Weining was a little angry. She said angrily, "Why is this gun so powerful? The recoil of this gun is indeed very strong," Li Fan said as he leaned behind Yang Weining. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Yang Weining's hand, helping her stabilize the gun. At the same time, he turned the box cannon horizontally. Horizontally? Yeah. If this box cannon is shot head-on, when the shell pops out, it will easily burn your face. Li Fan stabilized her hand and whispered in her ear. Try firing again. Yeah, Yang Weining looked at the can opposite her. Based on her intuition, she fired a shot. Bang! The shell fell to the side, and the bullet shot straight into the wooden board behind. It's a miss. Yang Weining was a little discouraged. How do I aim with this gun? It's almost impossible to aim with this kind of gun. It's just for show. It looks ugly too. Then how did you hit so accurately? Li Fan couldn't explain. He couldn't possibly say that he relied on White Tiger to strengthen his ability, allowing him to quickly judge the bullet's trajectory. It's just a feeling. With that said, Li Fan held Yang Weining's hand, changed the direction of the muzzle, and fired another shot. Bang! The bullet shattered the can. Amazing! This shot made Yang Weining a little excited. When can I also practice this kind of marksmanship? You'll get better with more practice. Li Fan smiled. But you should start practicing with this palm thunder first. Okay. Yang Weining nodded. Li Fan leaned behind her and slowly corrected the posture of holding the gun for her. Why do I have to hold the gun with both hands? Yang Weining didn't understand. I see a lot of people holding the gun with one hand. It's very cool. That way of holding the gun is just for show. It's not practical at all. Li Fan explained, only this posture can make the gun more stable. And look ahead, this is called 3 points and 1 line. These 3 dots in a line are your eyes, the ruler of the gun, and the target. Yang Weining was also a little nervous. She took a deep breath and slowly aimed at the opposite can. Li Fan loosened his grip. Yang Weining maintained her posture and fired. Paw! The jar was broken. Ah, success! Yang Weining was very happy. She turned around and hugged Li Fan. A fragrant wind blew against his face, and Li Fan felt a little happy. Soon, she suddenly reacted and let go of Li Fan with a red face. So sorry. Xiao Qing, it's okay, let's continue. Li Fan looked magnanimous. At this time, a familiar voice came from outside. Weining, Xiao Qing, what are you two doing? Weining was shocked at first, then she was delighted, and then she felt a little embarrassed. Brother, you're here. Li Fan looked at ease and said with a smile, I'm teaching Miss Yang how to shoot. The Republic of China era was good. Even if Li Fan said so, Wang Xiaofu didn't think too much of it. The people were simple and honest. Simple and honest. You're also mischievous. When did you learn how to shoot? Wang Xiaofu looked at his younger brother dotingly. I learned it from my classmate. Li Fan fiddled with the pistol, the situation is chaotic now. How can I protect myself without learning how to shoot? You're right. I heard that you killed a lot of mysterious gunmen yesterday. Wang Xiaofu stepped forward to check Li Fan's body. Are you hurt? I'm fine. You should also care about Miss Yang. Weining, are you okay? Wang Xiaofu's gaze fell on Weining. I'm fine. Don't worry. Xiao Qing and Xiao Xing protected me very well. Yang Weining didn't blame Wang Xiaofu. Instead, she felt happy that he came over. Xiaofu, it's very dangerous to go out now. You have to pay more attention to your own safety. Tell them to assign a few more guards for you. Those clowns, why should I be afraid of them? Wang Xiaofu coldly said, these people are hindering the progress of the times. They won't live long. In short, be careful. Yang Weining suddenly suggested, how about you learn some spear techniques? It can be considered as a way to protect yourself. Forget about spear techniques. I don't have the energy to learn that. If you like it, then learn it so you won't be bored at home. The 3 of them returned to the bungalow. Wang Xiaofu originally planned to stay here to accompany them for dinner, but soon a guard ran over and said something to him. Something happened. I have to hurry back. Wang Xiaofu put on the jacket that he had just taken off. You two eat by yourselves. I'll leave first. Be careful. Although Yang Weining was somewhat disappointed, she didn't say anything. She walked Wang Xiaofu out the door. Li Fan could feel that this cheap brother of his still occupied a large place in Yang Weining's heart. If he wanted to occupy Yang Weining's heart, he still needed to put in more effort. For a month, Li Fan and Yang Weining spent half a month in this bungalow, almost intimately entwined with each other. In this half a month, their relationship had indeed warmed up a lot. Li Fan could feel that Yang Weining had become more and more dependent on him. In this half a month, Yang Weining's spear technique had also made some progress. Xiao Qing, I want to eat your steak tonight. When Li Fan was sitting in the room checking his pistol, Yang Weining came over and stretched out her hand. She gently placed both her hands on Li Fan's shoulder and said to him, "Sure, I'll let Xiao Qing go out and buy some beef. Let's go out and buy it together." Yang Weining shook Li Fan's shoulder. "I'm so bored staying in the house." In this half a month, Yang Weining didn't go out at all. After all, Wang Xiaofu had instructed them to stay in the bungalow because it was too dangerous outside. "It's a bit dangerous outside. Didn't brother tell us not to go out?" "It's okay. This is the British concession, there won't be any danger." Yang Weining hurriedly said, "I'm so bored that I'm going to get sick. Just take me out for a walk, okay? How about this, there's a Qingxin lake not far away. The scenery is pretty good." Li Fan thought for a moment and decided to fulfill Yang Weining's wish. "How about we go there for a walk?" "Okay." Yang Weining was as happy as a lark. She was even softly humming a tune, which was very pleasant to hear. Li Fan looked at her and muttered in his heart. In history, was there really a person named Yang Weining? Such a cute and affectionate woman, Li Fan was really a bit moved. However, he was also restraining himself. The mission was more important. It was to conquer Yang Weining, not to be conquered. Moreover, it was not a good thing to fall in love with a virtual woman. Yang Weining changed into a beautiful black dress and followed Li Fan out of the bungalow. "Sir, they finally came out. They made us wait for a long time." Not far away, two soldiers hid on top of a small building, watching Li Fan and the others. Chapter 1680. As long as Yang Weining is still under his protection, Li Fan has the confidence to attack Vermilion Bird Pagoda. At the very least, he can guarantee that the Martial Emperor will not be able to complete the mission. There is only one person who can attack Vermilion Bird Pagoda. Even if it isn't him, it definitely can't be the Martial Emperor. Li Fan is worried that the Martial Emperor will also think of this. After such a long time, he should have guessed that he has already entered Vermilion Bird Pagoda. According to the Martial Emperor's character, if he can't get it, he will destroy it. If he finds out that he can't complete the mission, maybe he will directly kill Yang Weining and let Li Fan fail as well. Just as Li Fan left the building, he already felt a murderous aura. The so-called murderous aura is actually a very vague concept. In general, it is Li Fan's perception of danger. The 1-month deadline, if the Martial Emperor arrived a few days earlier than him, his time should be almost up. If he fails the mission, it is estimated that he will be forced to stay in this small world, waiting for him to meet the Vermilion Bird descendant before he can leave this place. In this case, the Martial Emperor will definitely not wait to make a move. The air outside is still the best. Yang Weining held a small parasol and stood beside Li Fan, taking a deep breath of the outside air. At this time, the air in China is still very good, relatively fresh. Even if it is only a small world, Li Fan feels very comfortable breathing. "You say, how beautiful it is here." Yang Weining pointed to the sparkling Qingxin lake not far away. "It would be good if there is no war, everywhere is like this scenery. It must be extremely beautiful. In the near future, there will definitely be no war." Li Fan said. Really? After Yang Weining heard this, she also has some expectations. I hope that I can live for a few more years to see that day. She thought of something and suddenly felt a little sad. What's wrong with you? I just think that at that time, you should have married a young beauty. At that time, your heart will be filled with her and you won't be thinking about me, Miss Yang. What do you mean by that? Li Fan smiled. Yang Weining's girlish demeanor really made people unable to help but dote on her. No matter what, I will always remember Miss Yang in my heart. Then, you must leave a place for me in your heart. What about you? I will also leave a place for you in my heart. Yang Weining pointed at her chest. Right here. It's such a big piece, okay? Alright. Li Fan was very happy. This meant that Yang Weining already had him in her heart. This was a good thing, an extremely good thing. He had completed more than half of his quest guide. When everything fell into place and Yang Weining was willing to follow him, everything would be complete. The two of them came to the lakeside. Because it was the British concession, no matter how chaotic the outside world was, it was still like a paradise. Some people of the upper class stayed here and lived a stable life. At this moment, there were a few people boating on the Qingxin Lake, looking very relaxed. Let's go too, okay? Yang Weining suggested. Sure. The two of them boated on the lake. This was a good opportunity to promote their relationship. How could Li Fan refuse? He readily agreed. The two of them rented a small boat on the shore. Yang Weining held an umbrella while Li Fan rowed the boat and slowly swam to the center of the lake. Most of the people on the lake were couples, which made Yang Weining very envious. She was a talented woman of her generation. She loved nothing but heroic young men. Wang Xiaofu had entered her heart back then. She had once fantasized that one day she could play on the lake with her sweetheart like this. But now... She glanced at Wang Xiaoqing sitting in front of her. He seemed to be not bad. She did not feel depressed. Instead, she felt very happy. Perhaps, this was the life he wanted. Or perhaps... Xiaoqing's position in her heart had surpassed that of junior tutor. Oh. How could this be? Could it be that she was a fickle woman? But Xiaoqing was indeed very good. He was outstanding and gentle to her. Yang Weining even felt that she was a little greedy for the feeling of being by Xiaoqing's side. Sometimes she even thought that if she had not married junior tutor, what are you thinking about? Noticing that Yang Weining was staring at him in a daze, Li Fan asked. Ah, no, nothing. There's a flower boat over there. Let's go take a look. Miss Yang was a little flustered. She subconsciously pointed to a big boat at the side and said, My Miss Yang, that's a flower boat. Do you really want to go take a look? Hearing this, Li Fan could not help but laugh. Yang Weining also realized it. But in her heart, she decided to go all the way if she was wrong. That's nothing. There's no harm in going up and taking a look. Yang Weining bit the bullet and said, I just want to take a look and join in the fun. Okay, then let's go take a look. Li Fan did not stop her. If Yang Weining wanted to take a look, then let her. In any case, she would not be at a disadvantage. The two of them boarded the flower boat from the side. The inside of the flower boat was very lively. Seeing them, Yang Weining's expression was very natural. After all, she came from Shuyue brothel. In her eyes, these were all child's play. Two esteemed guests, this way please. Seeing that the two of them were dressed well, the madam personally came out to welcome them and led them to a private room on the boat. Young master, do you need someone to accompany you to drink? The madam still asked. There were a lot of people who brought their own prostitutes here. Many of them would still order other girls to accompany them to drink. No need. What about a singer? You can have a singer. Without waiting for Li Fan to speak, young Weining had already agreed. After ordering some food and wine, she waited for the madam to leave before saying to Li Fan, "We're all here to earn money. It's not easy. If you can help, then help. Okay, it's up to you." Li Fan was almost obedient to Yang Weining. This was also one of the reasons why Yang Weining liked to stay by Li Fan's side. After a while, the singer came in and began to sing a song according to Yang Weining's request. Yang Weining looked through the window and looked at the lake outside. While enjoying this leisurely feeling, she asked Li Fan, "This place is very good. Xiaoqing, do you come here often?" "In all honesty, it's my first time here." Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although he had thought of going to a flower boat and drinking wine with prostitutes, he had never put it into practice. This time, if not for Yang Weining wanting to come up to take a look, he wouldn't have come to this brothel. "Why are you nervous?" Yang Weining smiled sweetly. "I'm not being mean to you. Besides, my family background is not better than this place. If not for junior tutor redeeming my freedom, I'm afraid that today, I would also be sitting in that Shuyue brothel, playing the zither for everyone. My brother always said that you're talented. I really want to meet you." Chapter 1681. Why are you so curious? Yang Weining was slightly embarrassed, moreover. "I haven't played the zither for so long, my zither skills may have been neglected. Miss Yang, please do me the honor." Li Fan's smile made Yang Weining unable to refuse. "All right then." Yang Weining stuffed $2 to the singing lady, then left her pipa and held it in her arms. She sat in front of Li Fan and began to play the pipa. The light tune, coupled with Yang Weining's beautiful voice, was like the sound of nature. The best music Li Fan had ever heard was the song played by Qing Mohan. But compared to Yang Weining in front of him, it paled in comparison. Yang Weining, Miss Yang, is the real music master. This kind of woman who can play music that makes Li Fan infatuated, is she really just a character that exists in an illusory small world? How is it, does it sound good? Yang Weining put down the pipa and shyly asked Li Fan. Although she was already famous in Shuyue restaurant, she didn't know why, but today in front of Li Fan, she became a little shy. Even when she played the zither in front of young master, she didn't have this kind of feeling. Looking at Li Fan's appreciative gaze, Yang Weining felt a burst of satisfaction. "Miss Yang's zither is not bad, why don't you play another song for this marshal?" At this moment, the curtain was pulled open, and a strong figure rudely walked in and directly sat beside them. Behind him were 4 gunmen in Chinese tunic suits. The 4 of them took out 4 imitation German MP-18I submachine guns and aimed the muzzles at Li Fan. "General Liu." When Yang Weining saw this man, she suddenly panicked and subconsciously ran over, hiding behind Li Fan. "Miss Yang, why are you so anxious?" "I came today just to listen to Miss Yang's zither." The martial emperor picked up the wine cup and poured himself a cup. "This marshal is working hard outside, it's quite tiring. Today, after listening to Miss Yang's zither song, I feel refreshed. Unfortunately, this song isn't for you." Although Yang Weining was afraid, she felt an indescribable sense of security when she was with Li Fan, so she directly refuted Lu Dashui. At this moment, Miss Yang looks like a heroine. The martial emperor's gaze descended onto Li Fan. "This is the Wang clan's second young master, right? I was the one who took a fancy to Miss Yang first. I'm afraid it's not good for you to snatch his love away, right?" The martial monarch didn't expose Li Fan's identity, just like how Li Fan didn't expose his identity. In this place, they were restricted by the rules of the game. Even if it was exposed, it would be useless. On the contrary, it would cause disgust between them, and it would produce the opposite effect. General Liu, Miss Yang doesn't have you in her heart. Li Fan faced the muzzle of the gun without the slightest bit of fear. You'd better give up. Even without Miss Yang, you can still achieve your goal. As long as the four saints were activated, the passage to sky beyond sky would open. From the looks of it, you seem to understand this marshal's purpose. The martial monarch chuckled. What this marshal wants is this world. You can take the world, but she's mine. Li Fan's words made Yang Weining's heart melt. Second young master, you're trying to steal your own brother's woman. That's not good, is it? You're completely wrong. Li Fan retorted, Miss Yang hasn't gotten married yet, nor has she entered my Wang clan's door. I still have the right to pursue her and defend my love. Defend my bullshit love. The martial monarch was a little impatient. He fiercely slammed the table and shouted, let me tell you, if you don't hand her over to me, I'll make your Wang clan bleed like a river and die without an intact corpse. Yang Weining was scared out of her wits with just one sentence. Ha, who are you trying to scare? Li Fan scoffed, if you could do it, you would have done it long ago. Marshal Liu, here, you're just a small warlord, and you only have 20,000 people under your command. So what? At least I have more people than you. The martial monarch sneered, and there are only 4 people here, they can take your life. Is that so? However, Li Fan pointed out the window, take a good look, whose people are outside. The martial monarch and the 4 gunmen all turned their heads and looked out the window, but there was only the rippling surface of the lake outside. The martial monarch cried out in his heart, not good. When he turned around, a box cannon was already staring at his head. Come on, let your men shoot. Li Fan's finger pressed on the trigger as the martial monarch broke out in a cold sweat. Who knew, if he died in this space, would he die with him in the real world? The martial monarch didn't have the white tiger and the divine fox cheats. Because he had forcefully requisitioned the souls of the 4 saints, the souls of the azure dragon and the black tortoise were both in a deep sleep. No one could help him. Here, he only had a slightly better physique. How could he be faster than a pistol? The 4 gunmen behind him were also panicking, but their marshal was being restrained, so how could they dare to move? At this time, the martial monarch really wanted to shout, don't worry about me, quickly shoot. But he didn't dare, he was also afraid of death. Especially since he had already died once, he didn't want to lose his life again. Put down your guns. The martial monarch immediately ordered the gunmen to put down their submachine guns. Just as Li Fan's eyes fell on the 4 people, the martial monarch suddenly lifted the entire table with both hands. He rolled on the ground and picked up the submachine gun on the ground and fired at the other side with all his might. Tututu. The bullets shattered the table, but there was no one on the other side. The martial monarch rushed to the window and fired at the lake outside. The bullets hit the surface of the water with a paw-paw sound. The martial monarch frowned, he had actually miscalculated again. Li Fan, this brat, was truly cunning. In this kind of situation, he actually managed to slip away. At this time, Li Fan was holding Yang Weining and diving into the ice-cold bottom of the lake. With the help of the white tiger, Li Fan was able to freely breathe oxygen from underwater. Yang Weining obviously couldn't hold on any longer. After diving for a minute, she started to struggle with all her might. Without hesitation, Li Fan kissed her on the lips, sending in a steady stream of oxygen. With a desire for oxygen, Yang Weining greedily sucked on Li Fan's tongue, and then sucked in oxygen from his mouth. Ma Dan, this is too exciting, even Li Fan couldn't help but mutter. And because of this kiss, it seemed that he had finally opened up Yang Weiniang's heart. A white light appeared around him, pulling Li Fan's body into another world. The moment before he left, Li Fan seemed to see Yang Weiniang's panicked eyes. The plan to conquer his sister-in-law had been successfully completed. But at that moment, Li Fan felt his heart ache. Chapter 1682. That woman should have left him forever. Li Fan landed in the Vermilion Bird Pagoda. The water vapor on his body evaporated, but he felt a chill and he couldn't help but shiver. Whether it was the Azure Dragon Pagoda or the Vermilion Bird Pagoda, every time he went through them, it made Li Fan's heart ache. How is it? At this moment, a woman's voice sounded, echoing in the empty second floor of the Vermilion Bird Pagoda. Do you feel the pain and bitterness in your heart? Li Fan looked up and saw a woman sitting in front of him. She was dressed in a fiery red feather dress and sat on a carved phoenix throne. This woman was very cold. She didn't look like the passionate successor of the Vermilion Bird. Instead, she was like an ice mountain. Li Fan looked at her and was speechless for a long time. This woman. Isn't she the Yang Weiniang he met in the other pocket dimension? Are you surprised? It's me. Yang Weiniang glanced at Li Fan with a complicated look in her eyes. You and the other challenger have always been in my memory world. Why did you arrange such a game? Li Fan couldn't understand. Do you know what happened to the real Yang Weiniang? Yang Weiniang's voice became colder. She didn't meet the caring and gentle Wang Xiaoqing, nor did she meet the Lu Dashuai who wanted to take her back. She stayed by Wang Xiaofu's side, but less than a year after she married him, Wang Xiaofu met another woman who returned to study abroad. Thus, Yang Weiniang was abandoned. In the end, Wang Xiaofu gave her to a famous military officer in exchange for a position and power in the government. But that was just the beginning of a nightmare. Yang Weiniang was traded here and there like a commodity. In the end, she fell ill and was kicked into the sea by an officer who was retreating from China because the ship was overweight. Yang Weiniang's voice was emotionless as she recounted all this. It was a blessing in disguise. She accidentally entered this Vermilion Bird Pagoda and began a new cultivation path under the guidance of the previous generation's successor. I'm sorry, why are you apologizing? Yang Weiniang tilted her head and looked at Li Fan. It was that era that was wrong, not you. But I wasn't born in that era, and I couldn't protect you. Li Fan looked at Yang Weiniang. His feelings were also complicated. Although it was only a short half a month, he naturally developed feelings for Yang Weiniang in his heart after spending so much time with her and being intimate with her. In any case, you passed. As Yang Weiniang spoke, she slowly stood up from the phoenix head throne. At the same time, she grabbed a vermilion bird-shaped gun. All that's left is to fight. Come on. Can't we not fight? No. Yang Weiniang sneered, you can't be taking that virtual world seriously, right? I am indeed Yang Weiniang, but not the Yang Weiniang you love. Right now, I am the successor of the Vermilion Bird. Since you are the challenger, you are my enemy. With that, Yang Weiniang raised the Vermilion Bird fire spear and fired a shot at Li Fan. Bang! A 1-meter-long golden-red flaming vermilion bird flapped its wings and flew towards Li Fan. Li Fan had no choice. Now was not the time to dawdle. Obtaining the power of the vermilion bird and opening the passage to the heavens beyond skies was a mission that he had to complete. Sorry. Li Fan had no choice but to kick the flaming vermilion bird into pieces. But with a loud boom, the huge force sent Li Fan flying more than 10 meters away. The power of the flaming vermilion bird was not a joke. I have reminded you. Yang Weiniang looked at Li Fan, who was in a sorry state, and emphasized, I am not Yang Weiniang. I am the successor of the vermilion bird. You have the blood of the dragon race in your body. We are enemies. Let's fight. With that, young Wei-Ning raised the gun again and fired a shot at Li Fan. An even larger fire vermilion bird, 2 to 3 meters long, flew towards Li Fan with scorching flames around its body. Tornadoes scattered clouds. Li Fan swept his leg and used the dragon-subduing sword technique again. A crescent moon ripple flew out and struck the flaming vermilion bird. Rumble. The flaming vermilion bird was split into 2 halves in the air and then exploded into scattered flames. Not bad. Young Wei-Ning nodded. Holding the gun, she stood on the head of the vermilion bird statue and looked down at Li Fan. As expected of the blood of the dragon race. But it is a pity that you appeared too late. With that, the eyes of the vermilion bird statue under young Wei-Ning's feet suddenly lit up. Then, it flew up into the air with young Wei-Ning and aimed at Li Fan below. Flaming triple strike. Young Wei-Ning fired 3 shots in a row. 3 flaming vermilion birds flew out and pounced at Li Fan from 3 different directions. But Li Fan did not retreat this time. He stood there and let the 3 flaming vermilion birds hit him. Boom, boom, boom. Li Fan's body slid back a meter, but this time, he was unscathed. At this moment, Li Fan's skin was glowing with a bronze light. Just before entering the vermilion bird pagoda, Li Fan had comprehended a new technique. The current Li Fan could already use his true dragon golden body in every part of his body. Although it could not compare to the defensive prowess of the invincible golden body, it was not inferior by much. The flaming vermilion bird's attack was powerful. If it was 2 days ago, it might have posed some threat to Li Fan. But now, Li Fan did not care. He also tested the defensive prowess of the true dragon golden body, and it was as good as he had imagined. You have already begun to possess the powerful body of the dragon race. Young Wei-Ning looked at Li Fan and said, "This is not the body of the dragon race. This is the martial art that I have cultivated." Li Fan emphasized, "I have lived in China for over 100 years. Naturally, I know what martial art is." Young Wei-Ning reminded Li Fan, "But you have the genes of a dragon. This is because of your powerful body, which is why it can contain such majestic energy. Do you think that any martial artist can hide such a huge amount of energy in every cell of their body?" Li Fan was a little depressed. Could it be that if he was not human, he could not cultivate to a higher level? Whether it is you, Martial Emperor, or Jiang Feng, the reason why you can break through the limits of humans is because you have paid a price that surpasses humans. Young Wei-Ning reminded Li Fan, "For example, you have absorbed the genes of a dragon. For example, Jiang Feng, he obtained the inheritance of the Azura Dao and paid the price of his future lifespan. And Martial Emperor, this man can be considered the most orthodox because he cultivated the true immortal art. This so-called immortal art can allow humans to change their bodies. So no matter which one it is, if humans want to cultivate to the realm of immortals, they must break through the limits of humans. You think it is unfair. But this is the truth." Chapter 1683. Hearing Vermilion Bird's words, Li Fan's emotions turned slightly complicated. Is there really a limit to humans? Li Fan suddenly thinks of a woman and his heart jolts as he immediately refutes Vermilion Bird. "I know a woman whose strength has almost reached the lower immortal stage." "You are talking about your fiancée Muronging, right?" Although Vermilion Bird's successor is in the pagoda, she seems to know a lot about the outside world. She actually does not have that much strength. She is only so powerful because of the yin-yang dragon phoenix sword that she created with you. You really know a lot. Li Fan is also unable to defend himself. Why is this Vermilion Bird's successor like a Jiang who know-it-all? I am really envious of the love between the two of you. Young Weining looks at Li Fan, but no matter what kind of love it is, in the end, the harvest is only a kind of bitterness, isn't it? With that, she sets up her gun again and aims at Li Fan. Watch me pierce through your steel body. Young Weining's gun muzzle is filled with scarlet flames. In an instant, an almost golden vermilion bird suddenly flies out and pounces towards Li Fan. Li Fan is still standing there with his arms crossed, allowing the vermilion bird to devour his body. Boom, boom, boom. A powerful explosion sets off and the flames shoot up high, directly burning to the top of the pagoda. But when the flames dissipate, Li Fan is still standing there. Even his hair is not burnt. He is still crossing his arms and looking at Yang Weining. Your attack power is still not enough. Li Fan says, Weining, your hands are only suitable for playing the zither, not shooting. Less nonsense. Yang Weining suddenly reprimands, then try and take this shot of mine. As Yang Weining speaks, the red light on her body suddenly becomes even more blazing and all of it converges at one point. Very quickly, the gun lights up with a dazzling radiance. This kind of radiance even makes Li Fan feel threatened. Quickly stop. Li Fan shouts because he feels that Yang Weining is using her life to release this attack. Why did you have to do this? Can't we resolve this peacefully? How can you still be so naive? Yang Weining's eyes flashed with a red light. I told you long ago, you can't. As she spoke, a completely golden vermilion bird flew out from Yang Weining's gun. This vermilion bird was only a meter long, but the power gathered on it was not to be underestimated. Li Fan didn't dare to use his body to face it head-on because Miss White Tiger had already reminded him that this vermilion bird was the same as the White Tiger Divine Bow. It would directly harm his soul. He could only retreat, but the vermilion bird seemed to have its eyes on him and flew after him. No matter where Li Fan went, the vermilion bird followed him like a shadow. Li Fan had no choice but to stop. At the same time, he took a step forward and raised his fist. Lightning Supreme Dragon Fist. With a bang, the air seemed to be squeezed. That golden vermilion bird was directly smashed into pieces by this punch. And on Yang Weining's chest, there was also a fist print that was neither big nor small, causing her chest to cave in. Pfft! Yang Weining spat out a large mouthful of blood. Her body seemed to have lost its center of gravity as she fell from the stone vermilion bird and fell down the tower. Li Fan hurriedly jumped up and held her in his arms. Weining, why are you so silly? Li Fan looked at Yang Weining in his arms. The coldness on her face finally dissipated, leaving only endless warmth. Xiao Qing, Yang Weining stretched out her hand and gently stroked Li Fan's cheek. My lifespan has long come to an end. I won't be able to linger on here for long. I'm already satisfied when I wait for you. Didn't you not remember me? Why do you still call me Xiao Qing? Li Fan felt his heart skip a beat. Although it's just an illusion. You really entered my memory. Yang Weining's eyes were filled with satisfaction. You don't have to be sad. Weining should have died 100 years ago. Being able to get to know you means that Weining didn't live in vain. Don't say silly things. Let me heal you. Li Fan fed Yang Weining a few rejuvenation pills and desperately channeled vital energy into her. However, Yang Weining coughed out the pills and there was still blood. When the vital energy entered Yang Weining's body, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing completely in the blink of an eye. It's useless. My lifespan has come to an end. There's nothing I can do. Yang Weining gave Li Fan a sweet smile. Thank you. I was really happy for that half a month. As soon as she finished speaking, Li Fan felt the weight in his arms lighten. Young Wanying's body had already turned into spots of red light and disappeared from the Vermilion Bird Tower. And a red mark was also drawn into the space between Li Fan's eyebrows. No! Li Fan's heart ached terribly. He heavily smashed his fists on the ground, causing the entire Vermilion Bird Tower to tremble. You've already obtained the power of the Vermilion Bird. The Martial Emperor had just left the small world and flew in front of Li Fan. Return the power of the Vermilion Bird to me. The Martial Emperor's body was wrapped in golden dragon armor and his body suddenly expanded to more than 4 meters. He activated his Dharma body and with the power of a heavenly immortal, he pounced towards Li Fan. I'll return your mother. Li Fan's body also suddenly grew to more than 3 meters tall, and he let out a heavy roar. The Martial Emperor used the Yellow Emperor riding dragon and his right palm ruthlessly landed on Li Fan's chest. Bam! Qi exploded behind Li Fan, but he did not move. He directly reached out with both hands and grabbed the Martial Emperor's shoulder. Die! Li Fan grabbed the Martial Emperor and locked his body in place. Then, with a flying knee, he heavily landed on the Martial Emperor's chest. The Martial Emperor immediately spat out a mouthful of golden blood. He was stunned by the attack. And Li Fan threw him up. Then, his legs continuously spun and he directly kicked the Martial Emperor until he finally smashed into the ground. His head buzzed and his vision turned pitch black. Die, die. Li Fan kicked the Martial Emperor up again and kicked him into the Vermilion Bird Pagoda's wall. Then, it struck his body, and followed with his strongest fist. Lightning Supreme Dragon Fist. Dong! A fist imprint appeared on the Martial Emperor's chest. And this sturdy Vermilion Bird Pagoda was actually pierced through. The Martial Emperor's face was bruised and swollen as he fell out and heavily smashed into the sea. He didn't even dare to go back to look for Li Fan and directly sneaked away from the water. How did Li Fan suddenly become so strong? Did he take drugs? The Martial Emperor thought differently, but Li Fan also couldn't figure it out. He howled in the Vermilion Bird Pagoda for a long time. The Vermilion Bird Pagoda trembled unceasingly. The earth shook and the mountains shook, unable to calm down for a long time. After this continued for more than 10 minutes, Li Fan finally calmed down a little. However, he sat on the ground in a daze. It was unknown when Dragon Girl had entered the pagoda and was standing beside him, but she didn't dare to come forward to persuade him. After knowing Li Fan for so long, this was the first time she saw Li Fan having such a huge emotional fluctuation. What exactly happened? Chapter 1684. The Vermilion Bird was about 4 meters long. She landed beside Li Fan and gently rubbed Li Fan's cheek with her beak. Whinnying. Li Fan was a little shocked. He reached out and touched the feathers on the Vermilion Bird's head. It was a very warm and familiar feeling. Not only was it familiar, but it was also a kind of intimacy. It looks like the original Vermilion Bird's soul has long dissipated. Missy White Tiger flew out and stood beside Li Fan. She reached out and gently stroked the Vermilion Bird's feathers as she sighed. Therefore, young Wanying replaced the original soul and became the sacred Vermilion Bird soul. Her companion from long ago was no longer around. This made White Tiger sigh. For young Wanying to be able to stay by your side, it can be considered fate. However, her dermic powers are still too weak and she can't transform into human form. I can enlighten her a little and teach her the ability to simplify her form. Thank you, Sister White Tiger. Li Fan hurriedly thanked her. There's no need to thank me. Just treat it as fate. As Missy White Tiger spoke, she extended her finger and tapped the Vermilion Bird's forehead. The Vermilion Bird let out a melodious cry that sounded like young Wanying's zither. Her body gradually shrank and soon turned into the size of a parrot. She landed on Li Fan's shoulder and combed her beautiful feathers. The 4 sages have been activated, right? Dragon Lady heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Li Fan's relieved expression. She took the initiative to raise a topic to distract Li Fan. Are you heading to heavens beyond? Yes. Li Fan nodded. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The moment Li Fan said that, the vermilion bird on his shoulder suddenly flapped its wings and flew up. Soon, it flew to a stone door in front of them and landed on it. It chirped at Li Fan. 4 sacred gates. Missy White Tiger's gaze landed on the 3-meter-tall stone door and she could not help but sigh. Every pagoda has such a door. Look, there are our carvings on it. Sure enough, there were carvings of 4 sacred beasts on the stone door, and each one was vivid and lifelike. What exactly is the sky beyond heaven like? None of us have seen it before. Ms. White Tiger reminded Li Fan, be careful. The 3 of us will do our best to protect you. Yes, it's either success or death for this mission. Li Fan had already made up his mind. After experiencing 2 heart-wrenching sanctum cultivation, he was mentally and physically exhausted. All he wanted was to end this endless battle as soon as possible. All right, I wish you success. As Miss White Tiger spoke, she glanced at Vermilion Bird. The Vermilion Bird returned to its original form and landed on the southern side of the stone gate. As for Miss White Tiger, she transformed into a big white tiger and landed on the west side. Only one holy beast could open the stone door, but it would take a bit more time. With 2 holy beasts around, the time it took to open the door was much faster. The 2 holy beasts injected their energy into the stone door, and the 9-tailed divine fox also appeared. It spat out its pass and imprinted it on the top of the stone door. After more than 10 minutes, the stone door finally trembled and slowly opened. An unknown space was behind the stone door. Dragon Lady, when I'm not around, look after the 7 Knights Villa for me. Li Fan said to Dragon Lady. Following that, the 2 holy beasts flew back. One returned to Li Fan's body, and the other landed on his shoulder and followed him through the door. The sky beyond heaven, I'm here. Li Fan felt his body being pulled up, and there was a feeling of ascension. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at another plane. In front of him was a vast space, and Li Fan just happened to land on a cliff. Below the cliff was a row of towns. The town's architectural style was ancient, and it had a very ancient aura. According to the information that Li Fan obtained from Hua, the sky beyond heaven was not only filled with warlike experts. Many of the remaining 1,000,000 or so people were just ordinary celestial citizens. Although these celestial citizens did not know any immortal techniques, their bodies were much stronger than ordinary humans on Earth. Because they did not cultivate immortal techniques, these celestial citizens needed to work if they wanted to live longer. In the sky beyond heaven, there was only one set of currency, and that was the immortal crystal. This immortal crystal had no other use, and its only effect was to be absorbed and increase one's lifespan. One immortal crystal could increase one's lifespan by 1 year, and immortal crystals were produced by the strongest celestial master in the past. After the celestial master exhausted his power and brought everyone to the sky beyond heaven, he fell into a deep sleep. The place where he was turned into a giant tree, and immortal crystals would be produced every day. The 8 heaven immortals were responsible for collecting immortal crystals and distributing them. They were distributed to the exalted immortals, who each had their own territory in the sky beyond heaven. They appointed many lower immortal officials, and then let the officials distribute the immortal crystals according to the workload of the townspeople. For thousands of years, the sky beyond heaven had relied on this method to survive. It looks like a very peaceful place. Li Fan observed the small town below and couldn't help but laugh. The people of the sky beyond heaven are quite good, bringing disaster to earth, but they are living a carefree life. Li Fan secretly snuck into the town, stole clothes from a family's drying window, and changed into them. In the sky beyond heaven, the style of clothes was a bit similar to that of the Han Dynasty. After Li Fan put it on, he felt that it was very loose, the material was also quite unique, and it was quite comfortable to wear. He walked on the streets, and sure enough, no one recognized him as an earthling. Although Li Fan was a little unfamiliar, there were a few towns in the sky beyond heaven, and they all treated Li Fan as someone from the other towns. The main thing was that no one from the sky beyond heaven would believe that an earthling had successfully sneaked in. Li Fan's goal was to destroy them from within the sky beyond heaven, so he had to think of a way to enter the upper echelons of the sky beyond heaven. Conscription. Li Fan saw some conscription notices pasted on the walls and couldn't help but be stunned. Coincidentally, there was a merchant selling immortal pets, so Li Fan asked him about it. "Little brother, you're from the other towns, right?" Hearing Li Fan's question, the merchant chuckled. He stroked his beard and said, "Recently, our King of Yu and King Ku have been fighting. Because of a lack of manpower, the King of Yu has decided to recruit soldiers and train guards to determine the victor. The population of our sky beyond heaven is already small. Why are we still fighting? Hee, looks like the town you live in should be a place that stands aloof from worldly affairs." The merchant looked at Li Fan enviously, and then explained, "The civil war in the sky beyond heaven relies on Dharmakaya. If the Dharmakaya is destroyed, it will take 10 days to half a month to recover. So as long as the opponent's Dharmakaya is destroyed, it will be considered a complete victory." "Oh, I understand." Li Fan thought to himself that this was a good idea. He reached out, removed a list from the wall, and stuffed it into his sleeve. "Good lad, do you want to join the army too?" Chapter 1685. After chatting with the merchant for a while, Li Fan got to know more information. It turns out that sky beyond sky often has this kind of civil war. It is said that it is a war started by the high immortals who have been conferred the title of Marquis in order to fight for resources and population. And the 8 sky immortals of sky beyond sky have tacitly agreed to this kind of war. Only war can nurture the soldiers of sky beyond sky and make them stronger. Since you are going to recruit soldiers, why don't you buy an immortal pet from me? The merchant points to the table tennis ball-sized amber in front of him. These are all low-grade immortal pets that can help you in battle. Immortal pets are a unique type of spiritual beast in sky beyond sky. They are captured by hunters and then sealed in special amber. Every sky beyond sky warrior can have one immortal pet as their combat power. These immortal pets are divided into 3 grades, low, mid and high. Li Fan shakes his head. The merchant hurriedly says, "Are you not satisfied?" "It's all right, I still have a mid-grade immortal pet here." Li Fan shakes his head again. "Could it be?" "Young master, you want a high-grade immortal pet?" "No, I don't have money." Li Fan's words make the merchant speechless. Li Fan has just arrived at sky beyond sky, how could he have any immortal crystals? "It's all right. Take this." The merchant waves his hand, then he picks up a red amber and passes it to Li Fan. "Take this." "I don't have money." "I'll let you use it first." The merchant pats his chest. "You are fighting for our King Yu, you cannot go into battle empty-handed. This is a low-grade immortal pet. Although it is not very good, it is at least a form of combat power for you. In the future, when you receive your salary, you can just give me the money." "Thank you." Li Fan was a little surprised. The people here were honest, and they were all quite loyal. Could it be that this King Yu has some unique charm? There are 49 high immortals in sky beyond sky, and similarly, there are 49 fiefdoms. The population and resources of each fiefdom are different. In order to strengthen their fiefs, the 49 feudal vassals would naturally often wage war against each other. Li Fan asked the merchants again and heard that this king of you was a good person. He treated the people of his fief very well and had low taxes, so he was very loved by the people. I used to be from the Green Mountains, and the king of the Green Mountains is really. Let's not talk about it. Later, I moved my family to Yu City and lived a prosperous life. Thanks to King Yu's blessings, I should return the favor. The merchant chatted with Li Fan for a while longer. Go, little brother. I wish you luck in martial arts. The merchant gave Li Fan an encouraging look. Li Fan was slightly moved. If everyone in the realm beyond Avalon was like this, then it would be a very difficult opponent to deal with. No matter what, let's go in and take a look first. Li Fan took the low-grade immortal pet the merchant gave him and headed towards the town's recruitment office. On the way, Li Fan did not forget to look around. Memorize every piece of information here. The realm beyond Avalon was indeed a very special place. Along the way, Li Fan felt that most of the people here were very simple, unlike the invaders who went on expeditions to Earth like Hua and Yu. Here to recruit soldiers. At the recruitment office was a centurion wearing black armor. He glanced at Li Fan and frowned. I haven't seen you before, where are you from? Replying to Lord, this lowly one came from the Green Mountains. Li Fan immediately replied, our Green Mountains king is tyrannical, so I traveled all the way to our Yu City. Because I just arrived here, I don't have much of a livelihood. I heard that the king of Yu is recruiting soldiers, so this lowly one came. Oh, a person from the Green Mountains, no wonder. The centurion suddenly realized. Li Fan muttered in his heart, what kind of ruler of the Green Mountains is, it seems like everyone doesn't like him. As long as you are willing to fight for my lord, you are a citizen of my Yu state. The centurion continued, he picked up a booklet, what's your name? Li Dezhuang. Li Fan casually made up a name. The people of the Green Mountains are really uncultured, Dezhuang. The centurion curled his lips, then with a big wave of his pen, he registered Li Fan's name on it. All right, take this wooden sign and report back tomorrow. Yes. Li Fan held the wooden sign with his name written on it, but in his heart, where should he stay tonight? He really didn't have a dime when he came to this place. He also had to hurry up and finish the recruitment, don't let Martial Emperor see him. Martial Emperor knew him too well, no matter how he changed his bones, he would be instantly recognized by Martial Emperor. Wait, you don't seem to have a place to stay. The centurion suddenly stopped Li Fan, forget it, anyway, there are not many people signing up this time, let's call it a day. Can I? Li Fan was a little surprised, can I call it a day early? To be honest, I've been waiting here for 10 days, you're the third to come to the recruitment. The centurion shrugged his shoulders, after all, no one likes to be a soldier, this job is too hard. The ordinary people of the sky beyond were not belligerent, their personalities were very gentle. This, Li Fan had already seen on the way here. Our king of Yu used to have 100-man team under him, because of the war, he wanted to recruit one more. But in the past 4 months, I've only recruited about 30 people. That's already pretty good. Li Fan was a little speechless, recruited about 30 people in 4 months, and a duke only had a 100-man team under him. The combat power of the sky beyond was indeed a little lacking. However, the quality of the soldiers is not the quantity. The centurion didn't know who he was comforting, just like your Green Mountains, although you have a huge army of 10,000 people. But what's the use, most of them are forcibly recruited from the people, their combat power is low. And this kind of behavior, Lord Heaven Immortal will definitely punish them. No wonder so many people escaped from the Green Mountains, it turned out that the dukes like to force the big guys into servitude. The most capable of fighting is still White City. The centurion didn't know that in the process of chatting, he had unwittingly leaked information to Li Fan. The people of that place are swift and fierce. Almost all of them are soldiers, their army is really elite. I'm afraid that in the future expeditionary army, they will probably be the main force. Expeditionary army. Li Fan listened blankly. To where expeditionary army? Naturally to the lower realm. The centurion was a soldier after all. When he said this, his eyes became somewhat fanatical. Isn't it said that if we go to the lower realm, we will develop feelings with humans? Li Fan couldn't help but ask, once we have children with humans, it will be our doomsday. So we have to choose an expeditionary army. The centurion said, this expeditionary army only has men, and all of them will be castrated. Ha! Li Fan's jaw almost dropped, so it was an army of eunuchs. As far as he knew, although the people of the sky beyond were unable to give birth, it didn't stop them from having sex. Many people chose to dual cultivate, the effect was even stronger. Chapter 1686. Li Fan did not know which immoral person came up with this idea. An army of eunuchs. Even if the true immortal mantra could strengthen the body, it did not seem to be able to replenish the life below. This. Lord Centurion, do you want to join the expeditionary army? What a joke. Who wants to join the expeditionary army? The centurion shook his head like a rattledrum. I want to find a suitable woman for dual cultivation. Li Fan was slightly comforted. It seemed that this method was indeed immoral. Not many people in the realm beyond Avalon would be willing to do this. Come to think of it, we will not force them. But some feudal vassals may not necessarily do so. For example, it is possible for Qingqiu to create a group of eunuchs. The centurion's words made Li Fan fall into deep thought again. Indeed, in order to please the higher-ups, these feudal vassals could forcibly create an army of eunuchs. The number did not need to be large. Just 10,000 people would be enough to make Earth suffer. There were a total of 1 million people in the realm beyond Avalon. To make 1% of them into eunuchs was indeed immoral. Even Jiang Feng would not be able to think of such a method. Alright, this is not something we should be thinking about. The centurion waved his hand. No matter what, we will have to go to the lower realms sooner or later. This piece of land will probably not last much longer. It should not be too long before the collapse of the realm beyond Avalon. Otherwise, those people in the realm beyond Avalon would not be so anxious. Lord, have we not thought of coexisting peacefully with humans? I also want to. The centurion curled his lips. But humans are only lowly peasants. How can we live with these pests? After thousands of years of brainwashing, these people's thoughts were already deeply ingrained. Li Fan let out a long sigh. They were kind to their own people, but they did not have the slightest mercy to humans. To them, humans were no different from ants. Especially when these ants could cause the extinction of their entire race. How could they try to coexist peacefully? Alright, we are almost at the main camp. The centurion pointed forward. Follow me. From today onwards, you are my soldier. In front of them was an army camp. Although it was called a camp, it was actually not that big. After all, there weren't many soldiers, so the camp didn't need to take up so much space. The centurion led Li Fan into the camp, and they just so happened to see another centurion leading a few decurions out of the camp. Sun Quan, where are you going? The centurion frowned and looked at him. How can you leave the camp without orders? There's nothing going on in the camp. I'll take a few brothers out for a drink. The centurion called Sun Quan yawned. What's wrong? Are the conscription back? It's a big crime to leave your post without permission. How dare you take them out for a drink? Li Fan's centurion was furious. Sun Quan, do you still have the bearing of a centurion? Qian Ping, you can't even recruit soldiers. How can you say that about me? Sun Quan sneered, and a few people beside him laughed at Centurion Qian Ping. Qian Ping's face turned red. We're talking about military rules. You're not the one who set the military rules. If you're unhappy, let the general deal with me. Sun Quan was disdainful. He did not even put his comrade of the same rank in his heart. Brothers, ignore him. He's just a clown. Sun Quan pushed Qian Ping's shoulder away and walked out with a few decurions. Sigh. Qian Ping sighed. Don't learn from that person. He's just a scum. Li Fan felt a little relieved. Seems like the army of heavens beyond Avalon was not as united as a piece of iron. In the future, you'll be a soldier of U City. Your monthly salary is 10 immortal crystals. It's not a lot. That's why no one is willing to be a soldier. However, only we, the soldiers, can protect the peace of the entire U City. Qian Ping still had the faith of a soldier. When you become a decurion, you'll be able to get 20 immortal crystals a month. Qian Ping did not mention anything about becoming a centurion. It was probably true. 2 centurions were already enough, not to mention one more. Tomorrow, the general will come and take a look at you new soldiers. At that time, perform well. In front is your camp. You'll be staying there. In a while, take your token and go to the military officer to get a set of military uniform. Also, before afternoon, you must report to the military officer. He will impart the true immortal arts to you. Understood. Li Fan was still muttering in his heart. Can I learn the complete true immortal arts just like that? However, he did not dare to learn it. If the people of heavens beyond Avalon learned the true immortal arts, they would lose the fertility of their own race. They even changed it a little and let the people of Earth learn it. It would directly cut off their descendants. This was practically a set of Bixia sword technique. Li Fan said that he did not want to learn this thing. Qian Ping clearly had his own matters to attend to. After sending Li Fan to the camp, he shouted towards the inside before turning around and leaving. Respectfully sending off my lord. A 2-meter-tall burly man stood at the entrance of the camp and saluted Qian Ping. This man was also wearing a black armor. However, it looked a little cruder than Qian Ping's. He was a decurion and should be Li Fan's superior. Newbie, report your name. Li Dazhuang. What Li Dazhuang? From now on, you will be called Weak Chicken. The decurion shouted at Li Fan, trying to intimidate him. Yes, sir. Li Fan knew this very well. He immediately agreed respectfully. This caused the decurion to be stunned. He had wanted to take the opportunity to teach this troublemaker a lesson. He did not expect this kid in front of him to have no temper at all. Could this kind of guy with no temper be a soldier? Weak chicken. Hurry up and get in here. Are you standing guard outside? Yes. Li Fan immediately walked into the camp. There were 2 rows of bunks. Some soldiers were sitting on the bunks, playing Pai Gao. Li Fan was a little speechless. How did this look like a camp? They were either out drinking or playing Pai Gao. It seemed like the fighting atmosphere here was really bad. Qian Ping's subordinates were probably also newbies. They probably did not have any military discipline. Head, hurry up and play. Seeing the decurion enter, these people shouted impolitely as usual. What? All of you, stand up. In order to establish his authority, the Decurion could only bite the bullet and shout. Head, stop joking. My Pai Gao is just right. That's right. Hurry up and play with us. Stand up. The Decurion's face turned green as he shouted again. Everyone turned around and saw that the Decurion was really angry. They immediately threw down the Pai Gao and jumped off the bunks, forming a row. So there's a new bee, sigh, head is going to start again, these people whispered among themselves. The Decurion glared at them. Did I allow you to speak? All of you, shut up. Chapter 1687. The Decurion's reprimand made the new soldiers behave themselves. Don't think that I'm doing this on a whim. Let me tell you, the general will be here for an inspection tomorrow. Look at all of you, you're still playing cards. Do you all want to go to the small black room tomorrow? Don't, sir. We won't dare to do this again. Yes, we will listen to you, sir. We will maintain strict military discipline. When these people heard that they were going to be locked up in the small black room, they all begged for mercy. These celestial people's physique far surpassed that of ordinary people. Even if they were beaten or punished, they would recover very quickly. It wouldn't hurt their muscles or bones, so it wouldn't be a punishment. Therefore, the punishment method of Beyond Avalon was to lock people up, commonly known as the small black room. No matter how long you could live, you would all be thrown into the black room. Once you were inside, there would be no daylight and time would feel like years. The longer you lived, the more pain you would feel. This is the new soldier, Li Dazhuang. From today onwards, he will be our comrade in arms, a brother. The Decurion pointed to the bed. You will sleep there. That blanket is your only lover. Hug it tightly at night. Of course, if you have any special preferences, the men here can also satisfy you. The new soldiers all laughed loudly, but Li Fan didn't mind. It was the same as the military anyway. Since you're here, I'll give you a killing blow to sharpen your temper first. There are a total of 38 people in our 100-man team. You're the 38th. From today onwards, don't call yourself Li Sanba, remember. Remember, Li Fan was finally speechless. Damn it, he was still playing this game with him. However, the Decurion probably didn't know the meaning of Sanba. It was a modern term, so it was impossible for Beyond Avalon to know. Number 38, because you're the last to arrive, all the clothes here will be washed by you. The Decurion continued to assign tasks to Li Fan. If you mess up the clothes, you'll be locked up in the small black room. Yes. What else could Li Fan say? He could only endure it for now. He came to the military to hide, not to act like a tyrant. Moreover, Li Fan also wanted to know what level the so-called strength of the army was. What was the combat power of the ordinary soldiers here? Immortal slave, lower immortal. Also, you don't have to look for a military official today. I'll personally teach you the military's cultivation method. The Decurion said. But the Centurion asked me to report to the military officer. Who told you to talk back? The Decurion glared at Li Fan and said awkwardly, that bastard went out for a drink. Anyway, it's the same if I teach you. You're so lucky, brat. That's right. The Decurion is the strongest among us. It is said that his strength is close to that of a lower immortal. Listening to the words of these soldiers, Li Fan had some idea. So that's how it is. Seems like the strength of an ordinary soldier is above that of an immortal slave. Hua had said before that almost all the grandmasters were dead or injured, and he was not lying when he said it. Even exalted immortals could be conferred the title of Marquis here. One could imagine their combat power. Wang Er, come out and demonstrate the military's kung fu to him." The Decurion pointed at a fat man, and the fat man immediately ran out. "All right. Sir, I promise to do my best." 38. Watch carefully. The fat man was very respectful to the Decurion, but he glared at Li Fan. It was obvious how deep-rooted the hierarchy was in the Outland. Avatar Battle Spirit. The fat man half-squatted and shouted. Following that, his body surged with golden light. Countless golden lights flew out of his body and gathered in front of him. Soon, a 2-meter-tall battle spirit stood there. The black armor on the fat man's body lit up, and in an instant, the battle spirit was also covered in black armor. "Take your weapon." The Decurion took out a 3-meter-long spear from the shelf beside him and threw it to the fat man. The battle spirit controlled by the fat man immediately reached out and caught the spear. Then, it swung it in a circle and finally swept it at Li Fan. Li Fan seemed to be very afraid. He quickly took 2 steps back and then staggered and fell to the ground. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed. The Decurion had also received the effect he wanted. He nodded in satisfaction and crossed his arms as he said to Li Fan, 38, do you see that? 38, did you see that? This is the power of our army. Battle spirit. Wang Air, demonstrate again. Yes. Wang Air had wanted to control the battle spirit to give Li Fan another show of strength. Who knew that his battle spirit's legs would suddenly go soft? Then, it fell to the ground and shattered. With a clang, the spear fell and smashed into the fat man's foot, causing him to howl in pain. Ha 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 ha. Everyone laughed even more happily, but the Decurion felt a little embarrassed. Sure enough, a recruit was a recruit. His control over his battle spirit was too poor. Next time, come back after your battle spirit's leg is healed. The Decurion kicked the fat man away angrily and released his battle spirit. The golden light on his body and the black light flashed together. Soon, a 2-meter-tall, 3-meter-wide black-armored battle spirit slowly walked out of the void and stood in front of Li Fan. It was different from the fat man's battle spirit. The Decurion's battle spirit was filled with deterrence and a faint sense of oppression. Do you see it? This is a battle spirit. The Decurion said loudly, learn it and you will have the qualifications to become a true soldier. Yes. Li Fan roughly understood that this battle spirit was a simplified method of operating an avatar. This way, even a contestant with the strength of an immortal slave could smoothly release their avatar. They could control their avatar to fight from a certain distance. This way, they wouldn't hurt their main body. Your avatar is very important. Don't think that everything will be fine even if it's destroyed. The Decurion seemed to see through Li Fan's thoughts. Once your avatar is destroyed, you might be bedridden for half a month. At that time, you will have lost the battle and lost the honor of the king of you. I will work hard in my cultivation. As Li Fan said this, he muttered in his heart. What should he do to fool these people and make them think that his energy body was a battle spirit? Alright, this is the cultivation technique. Take a look. The Decurion threw a silk handkerchief filled with words to Li Fan. Practice it today and report to me tomorrow. Alright, go to the martial arts field to practice. You will stay in the martial arts field today. Yes. Li Fan didn't object. When it came to cultivation, the quieter the better. This place was filled with all kinds of people. How could he cultivate in peace? Li Fan left the barracks and went to the logistics department to get a simple black military armor and a gray military uniform. He put them on and went to the empty martial arts field alone. Chapter 1688. Li Fan would definitely not learn a perfected immortal art that could make a person impotent. Moreover, after practicing it, his energy could only be released externally. This was absolutely not possible. Li Fan's inner strength was trained to the bone, so it could not be used externally. If that was the case, it would greatly weaken his strength. Li Fan was a pure martial artist. He was different from the martial emperor, who could change his banner halfway through the battle. If it's just the release of energy, Li Fan stood on the martial arts field. Since there was no one around, he might as well let go of this matter. He stretched out his hand and released his inner strength above his palm, forming a milky white energy ball. If it was just the release of energy, he could still do it. However, it was still very difficult to condense the energy into the form of the Dharma body battle spirit. The Dharma body battle spirit that the fatty released was almost equivalent to an avatar of the fatty. His avatar was still left in the Li Clan island in the mortal realm, overseeing the island for him. Then he would try to create another avatar. If it was Muronging, she would definitely be very relaxed. Turning the void into reality was indeed enviable. Fuck, I don't believe that I can't release a second avatar. Li Fan vaguely remembered that someone in the pugilistic world had vaguely said that there was once someone who could release 2 avatars at once. It had already surpassed the avatar body and should be called the 3 pure ones. Since someone had done it before, why couldn't he? Li Fan thought to himself. The reason why he could cultivate an avatar was completely because he had unintentionally cultivated a second dantian. Could it be that he had to open up a third dantian? That was impossible. His dantian was already gone, and now only a taiji diagram was left. It was impossible to open up a third dantian with a taiji diagram. It's not like there's no way. Miss White Tiger's voice sounded in Li Fan's ear. You can use the power of the vermilion bird. Vermilion bird. Li Fan was puzzled. He did not know much about the vermilion bird's abilities. At this time, the little vermilion bird suddenly flew out of the forest and landed lightly on Li Fan's shoulder. Then, it began to comb its feathers. One of the vermilion bird's abilities is to transform. As long as you pour your strength into her body, she will be able to condense a so-called Dharmakaya battle spirit for you. Let Wei fight for me. How can this be? Li Fan shook his head. I can't bear to let her go to the battlefield. However, the vermilion bird grew anxious. It flew down and circled around Li Fan, constantly flapping its wings as if protesting something. She said she could. She was happy to fight for you. Where's my gentle Wei? How come she's become a militant now? Li Fan was speechless. He was a little unwilling to let young Wei fight for him. Don't worry, the vermilion bird is also known as the immortal bird. Ms. White Tiger reminded Li Fan. As long as you, the host, are still alive, she can rely on the fire of life in your body to be reborn. It's more or less a comfort. Only then did Li Fan agree. He followed Ms. White Tiger's instructions and slowly poured his energy into the vermilion bird's tiny body. Li Fan felt as if he was charging a battery. Soon, the energy in the vermilion bird's body was filled by Li Fan. According to this amount, the vermilion bird should leave his body and exist alone for about an hour. If it exceeded an hour, it would have to return to his side to replenish its energy. Come, take a look at the Dharmakaya battle spirit that I, Wei, have transformed. As Li Fan spoke, he released his energy once again. The vermilion bird immediately transformed into a nearly 3-meter-tall battle spirit that stood in front of Li Fan. Not bad. Li Fan was a little excited. With this disguised battle spirit, he did not have to worry about being exposed. Armor. Li Fan added the power of the black armor. This simple black armor was the equipment of ordinary soldiers, but it could also be worn by the battle spirit. As expected, Li Fan's vermilion bird battle spirit was instantly covered in black armor. The armor had the insignia of King Yu and a silver spear. It was said that King Yu was brave and skilled in battle. This could be seen from the insignia. In heavens beyond, there was a strict class system. Ordinary immortals were the lowest class. They had no rights and were the property of the feudal lords. Above them were the retainers of the feudal lords. They were all inferior immortals and were owned by the feudal lords. As for the superior immortals, they were the absolute nobles of heavens beyond. However, the nobles were only the rulers in name, the royal family. However, the royal family did not have any military power. It was only a spiritual symbol. The military power was in the hands of the feudal lords. Furthermore, there were 8 real bosses above them. The 8 great heaven immortals controlled the Elders' Council. The insignia was a symbol bestowed by the royal family. Every feudal lord had a different one. Usually, if they used a sword or spear, it meant that the feudal lord could fight. Li Fan closed his eyes and began to communicate with the battle spirit's soul. Just like operating the honored immortal, when Li Fan opened his eyes, he was already in the view of the battle spirit. At the same time, he could feel young Waning's attachment to him. This was the feeling of their souls being in harmony. Spear, come. Li Fan controlled the battle spirit and waved at the shelf beside him. A 3-meter-long spear immediately flew over and landed in the hands of the battle spirit. Li Fan had never practiced spear techniques before, but he had seen the martial emperor use spear techniques that were combined with the Xianyuan sword technique. He controlled the battle spirit and displayed a set of clean and beautiful spear techniques. Not bad. Just as Li Fan was displaying his spear techniques, a woman's voice sounded from the side. Li Fan turned his head and saw a woman wearing a red silk dress. She had a neat braid and looked very young. She was beautiful and had a heroic aura. She was standing beside him and looking at him. Who are you? Li Fan immediately held his spear and looked at the woman coldly. This is an important place in the barracks. Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter. I am not an unauthorized person. The woman in red placed her hands behind her back and said very freely, I am also a person of King Yu. King Yu's woman. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Bah. The woman in red glared at Li Fan, then sorted out her emotions and said, I am a soldier. I only fight, not marry. There are actually women in the barracks. Li Fan felt that it was a bit inconceivable. What, do you look down on women? The woman in red immediately raised her head and looked at Li Fan. That's not it, I am just a bit surprised. Men can fight, why can't women? The woman in red said, maybe, women are better at fighting. Damn, is she an Amazon female warrior? Chapter 1689. Li Fan felt that he was not a male chauvinist, but this woman in front of him was a little female chauvinist. Your spear technique is not bad. How about I test you? The red-clothed woman suddenly provoked Li Fan. I want to see if your spear technique can match up to mine. Li Fan said. Since this woman dared to issue such a challenge, it meant that her spear technique should be very outstanding. What, you don't dare? The red-clothed woman's provocation became even more obvious. It's not that I don't dare, I'm just curious. Li Fan muttered. Curious about what? A curious woman shouldn't like to fight. No. I'm curious about why there are so many lazy fellows in this King Chu's barracks. How can there be someone like you? The woman's expression became a little strange. Don't talk about such useless things. Let's fight. The red-clothed woman continued to request. Li Fan could only agree. Fine. Although I'm just a new recruit, if you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Who was little Overlord afraid of? Come on then. Not bad, you have courage. Come on. As she spoke, the red-clothed woman suddenly released her own battle spirit. A 4-meter-tall battle goddess walked out with large strides, holding 2 great spears in her hands. Perhaps she was intentionally going easy on Li Fan, but this battle spirit did not wear any armor. Was it an old hag with 2 spears? Li Fan did not understand. How could 2 spears fight a battle? You first. The red-clothed woman waved at Li Fan. Li Fan did not hesitate and immediately controlled his battle spirit to charge forward. With 1 spear setting the 9 prefectures, he directly pierced towards the red-clothed woman's battle spirit. Good. The red-clothed woman seemed to be praising Li Fan. Her battle spirit moved as well. The battle spirit blocked Li Fan's attack with 1 spear, while the other spear pierced towards Li Fan's neck. In her hands, this pair of spears could be used both offensively and defensively. However, Li Fan was not someone to be trifled with. With a shake of the spear in his hand, he pushed aside the red-clothed woman's defense. Ignoring his own safety, he thrust the spear towards the red-clothed woman's chest. If this continued, the 2 of them would probably end up in a tie. The red-clothed woman decisively retreated and sheathed her spear. However, Li Fan was relentless. He once again stepped forward and continuously attacked. Each time, he attacked the red-clothed woman as if he didn't care about his life. Although the red-clothed woman's battle spirit seemed superior, it was still forced back by Li Fan again and again. After a few rounds, she finally couldn't take it anymore. She put away her spears and took a step back. She looked at Li Fan and scolded, "Your self-destructive spear technique is really annoying. Although it's annoying, it's useful." Li Fan laughed, "No matter who the other party is, at worst we'll all die together." Although his fighting style was a bit shameless, the red-clothed woman really couldn't do anything to Li Fan. Your fighting style is at most a life for a life. What use is that on the battlefield? If I trade for one, then I'll make a profit. Li Fan said with a serious expression. It's not worth it to trade for a small soldier, but a 10-man commander should be fine. There are also centurions, commanders, and even the feudal lords themselves. You're dreaming. The red-clothed woman fiercely glared at Li Fan. That's fine. Your shameless fighting style is actually useful to me. Since you're quite diligent, I'll forgive you. The red-clothed woman waved her hand. It's getting late. Go back and rest. As for seeing me, you don't need to mention it to anyone. No, I have to report this to the 10-man commander. Li Fan felt that this woman was far too arrogant. He wouldn't fall for her tricks. No. The red-clothed woman wasn't happy. She glared at him, "You're not allowed to go. Come on, why should I listen to you?" Li Fan laughed. "I don't even know who you are. Maybe you're a spy from the enemy country." Nonsense. I'm a citizen of your city. How could I be a spy from the enemy country? The red-clothed woman immediately said. You think you're right. Where's the proof? Proof? What else do I need? Before the red-clothed woman finished her words, she suddenly frowned. Li Fan also felt something was amiss. He subconsciously looked towards the east. A guest has arrived. The red-clothed woman looked to her left and right before pointing at Li Fan. You, follow me. Me? Yes. The red-clothed woman took out a jade pendant from her bosom. On it, there was a silver spear insignia. This was a very high-status symbol in Yu City. I'm ordering you to follow me. All right. Li Fan could only nod. What exactly is this woman's identity? But his current goal was to conceal himself. Thus, he could only follow beside this woman. The two of them passed through the barracks and arrived at a forest outside. A man wearing black robes was standing in the forest. Behind him were two tall and fierce men. Each of them emitted a unique aura. Oh. As the man saw the red-clothed woman walk over, he didn't seem surprised. He only gave a soft "oh" sound. Coming uninvited means you're a thief. The red-clothed woman glared at him. I didn't think that among your many hobbies, you would actually be a thief. That's not true. The man chuckled. I'm just here to take a look at my territory in advance. What an arrogant fellow. The red-clothed woman seemed a bit angry. Her battle spirit stood up from behind her and let out a long roar. The war is imminent. There's no need for you and me to fight. The man crossed his arms, a bit disdainful. Moreover, you only brought a single, recruit? Don't tell me you want to rely on him to defeat my two capable generals. The two men behind him were both wearing white armor. On the armor, there was a scimitar insignia. It was unknown which vassal state they were from. Li Fan pondered for a bit. To appear at this time and say such words, he felt that the other party should be King Ku's people. It was very likely that this man in front of him was King Ku. The two generals behind him were currently emitting the aura of an inferior immortal. Who was that red-clothed woman? Her position on King Ku's side was probably not low. Li Fan made a bold guess. Perhaps she was King Ku himself. I alone am enough. The red-clothed woman's battle spirit held her spear and didn't retreat. Lord. Li Fan suddenly stepped forward and called out a title that caused the red-clothed woman to be slightly surprised. There's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. I'll help you deal with King Ku's two lackeys. Ha ha ha. You King Ku people really like to talk nonsense. King Ku couldn't help but laugh. A mere recruit actually dares to provoke me. That's fine too. Go and take him down. Let King Yu take a look at what a true elite troop is. Yes. The two generals released their battle spirits at the same time. The two 3-meter-tall battle spirits were wearing white armor. Each of them held two large sabers. Without any politeness, they charged towards Li Fan from the left and right. Chapter 1690. The war between King Ku and King Yu had been going on for over 1,000 years. The two countries were right next to each other and there was a rich town in the middle. The two countries constantly fought over this place. King Ku believed that he had a strong army and should annex all of you, allowing his vassal state to become a true large country. But the Elders' Council had strict laws. Vassal states could fight each other, but they absolutely could not destroy a country. The only way to unify the two countries was through marriage. It just so happened that the King of Yu was a very outstanding woman. King Ku believed that she was worthy of him and added the entire vassal state as her dowry. But the King of Yu was very proud. She scoffed at King Ku's words. King Ku was furious and started a war again. He prepared to take over all the towns besides Yu City in one fell swoop. He wanted the King of Yu to live in her capital city. At this moment, King Ku decided to teach the stupid Yu recruits a lesson and make them pay the price for their stupidity. The red-clothed woman, who was the King of Yu, did not have time to stop them. She saw the two powerful battle spirits arrive in front of her idiotic subordinate and raise their sabers. In the end, Li Fan just stood there without moving. He did not even summon his battle spirit. In heavens beyond heavens, only battle spirits were allowed to fight. They were not allowed to injure each other. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the law and they would be locked in a small black room for 1,000 years as punishment. Thus, the two-blade battle spirits could only stand there and raise their sabers as they glared at Li Fan. What, are you scared, silly? King Ko could not help but sneer. Look, you people only know how to talk. Shameful. The king of you could not help but stomp his feet. Li Fan smiled. What is shameful about this? This is a reasonable tactic. The moment his voice fell, the two-blade battle spirits suddenly felt something was wrong. They turned their heads and discovered that a spear battle spirit that was less than 3 meters tall had unknowingly appeared behind them. Go! Li Fan's battle spirit instantly thrust out its great spear. Clean and neat, it pierced through the throat of a blade battle spirit and lifted it high into the air. Then, it threw it towards another blade battle spirit. The remaining blade battle spirit hurriedly used his 2 blades to push away his fallen comrade. At the same time, Li Fan's battle spirit took this opportunity to arrive in front of him. The great spear in his hand pierced through his chest and nailed him to the ground. The bodies of the 2 battle spirits began to collapse. The 2 generals also came back to their senses and knelt on the ground, losing the ability to fight. My apologies. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Your people have pretty good equipment, but they're a little too stupid. You! Damn it! Ko Wang was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He had never seen such a hooligan fight before. The beautiful King Yu stood at the side and didn't say a word. King Yu! Is this your warrior? Ko Wang roared at King Yu. He is not a warrior, he is a shameless hooligan. You should hang him up and punish him according to military law. King Yu blinked his eyes. Did I? He didn't break any rules. So you're saying that you want to protect him? For a meritorious general, I don't even have time to reward him. How can you talk about protecting him? The beautiful King Yu raised her chin and looked at Ko Wang coldly. But you actually came to my territory to provoke me. Ko Wang, next time if you want to come, bring someone with some fighting strength. Don't bring this kind of small fry, it's too embarrassing. Alright, I will remember this humiliation. Ko Wang had no choice but to turn and leave angrily. His 2 loyal subordinates stood up with difficulty and wanted to leave with him, but he kicked them to the ground. 2 useless things. Li Fan frowned. As expected, this was an absolute hierarchy. His 2 subordinates had only been defeated and they had to receive such treatment. The 2 of them crawled up again and staggered behind their master. Humph, a bunch of clowns. The beautiful King Yu sneered. After they walked far away, she turned her head and looked at Li Fan. You really are a scoundrel through and through. In war, the victor is king and the loser is a bandit. However, Li Fan spoke with conviction. If I win, they can only call me a scoundrel. If I lose, then they will humiliate me and scold me. We, the king of you, will become fish meat. Nonsense. The beautiful King Yu rolled her eyes, then stared at Li Fan. How do you know that I am the king of you? Lord. Even a fool can tell, okay? Since you know that I am the king of you. You're still so rude when talking to me. The beautiful King Yu looked at Li Fan, as if she was threatening him. Aren't you afraid that I will punish you? Everyone outside says that although the king of you is beautiful and arrogant, she treats her people well. Li Fan chuckled. I feel that they are definitely not rumors, right? As expected of a scoundrel. When the beautiful King Yu heard this, she could only give up. If I were the king of you, I would have thrown you into a small black room long ago. Fortunately, you are not the king of you, but the wise, divine, beautiful, and great king of you. Li Fan flattered him without batting an eyelid. Alright, let's return to the barracks early. The beautiful King Yu could not afford to be angry at Li Fan. Tomorrow, I will bring people to patrol the barracks. If you wake up late, don't blame the army for punishing you. With that, the beautiful King Yu leaped into the air. A black leopard immortal pet flew out and dragged her. Stepping on fire, it headed in the direction of the city lord's mansion. Damn, you're killing the donkey after it leaves the millstone. I helped you so much, but you didn't even treat me to dinner or anything. Li Fan curled his lips and could only walk back alone. When he returned to the barracks, the decurion told him that dinner time was over and there was nothing to eat. Fuck. Li Fan almost vomited blood. Although he was not particularly thirsty for food, using the battle spirit in the skies beyond consumed a lot of energy. If he did not replenish his food, he would feel hungry. Furthermore, the food in the skies beyond was different. It had high energy, and the feeling was similar to eating pills. Go and feed the horses. The decurion pointed to the stables outside. Li Fan was helpless, it was not easy for him to hide his identity. He could only obediently go to the stables and see that there were more than a dozen steeds from the skies beyond. They were different from the steeds in the human world. The steeds here were 3 meters tall, had 6 hooves, and had a pair of half-a-meter-long wings on both sides. Every vassal state had their own cavalry, but the skies beyond heaven's horses were extremely precious. A slightly richer vassal state could only raise 100 of them. For a small country like you, having 20 of them was already very good. Come, I'll feed you. Li Fan had not eaten yet, but he carried a large bucket of horse grass and fed it to the sky's horses. I really didn't expect that young master would actually run to the skies beyond heaven to be a horse protector. Li Fan muttered, I wonder if my next step will be to wreak havoc in the heavenly palace. Wreak havoc in the heavenly palace. A voice suddenly sounded in his ear, giving Li Fan a fright. Chapter 1691. Who is it? Li Fan suddenly turns his head and sees Centurion Qian Ping standing beside him with a food box in his hand. He is looking at him with a complicated expression. Li Fan silently raises his elemental energy as he thinks to himself, could it be that he has been discovered? Should I make the first move and get rid of this centurion? In that instant, Li Fan is thinking of dozens of ways to silently get rid of Centurion Qian Ping. What is havoc in heaven? Qian Ping does not understand the meaning of havoc in heaven. He places the food box on the shelf beside the stable and then looks at Li Fan a few more times as if he is sizing him up. You brat, did you get lucky? What do you mean? Jun Shang actually specially instructed me to bring you some food. Qian Ping is puzzled, didn't you come from Qingzhou? How do you know Jun Shang? Fate of meeting once. Fate of meeting once. Li Fan says. At this time, if he says he does not know her, Qian Ping probably will not believe him. He really did not expect that this beautiful Queen Yu is quite interesting. She is obviously tough on the outside but soft on the inside. Why don't you say that you got lucky? Qian Ping lets out a long sigh, even I have not seen Queen Yu before. You have not seen her before, how do you know what she instructed you to do? Li Fan is puzzled. Naturally it was the order from the messenger. You idiot. Qian Ping glares at Li Fan and then hurriedly waves his hand, sorry. Just pretend that I did not say anything earlier. What, are you afraid that I will report you to Jun Shang? Who would be afraid? You are not really going to report me, right? What a joke, that is not something that a man would do. Li Fan pats Qian Ping's shoulder, eating is more important. I am really a little hungry and want to eat horse grass. Don't. Qian Ping hurriedly pulls Li Fan, this horse grass is very expensive. What do you mean? A man is inferior to a horse. What do you think? Qian Ping rolled his eyes, in the various vassal states, the status of the heavenly horse is much higher than that of an ordinary person. For example, do you think this is some grass that can be picked casually? These were all immortal herbs grown by the herb farmers. 1 mu of land could only produce 1 gene. That's why it's extremely valuable. Damn, I really want to try it. You'd better eat this. Qianping pointed at the food box. These are delicacies sent by the city lord's mansion, not the coarse rations that we stupid soldiers eat. Really? Li Fan opened the food box. There were a total of 3 layers. The first layer was some delicate pastries, and the second layer was a barbecued bird. Although he didn't know what kind of bird it was, it smelled very fragrant. There were 2 bottles of wine on the 3rd floor, which made Qianping drool. Fairy flower cake, honey roasted goose, and September brew. There were a few types of food that were similar to the food on Earth. The sky beyond Avalon was originally an imitation of Earth space, and the sky beyond Avalon had also come into contact with the humans on Earth, so it was normal for some of their food to be similar. However, although it smelled fragrant, there were still some differences. After all, Li Fan was used to eating good wine and good meat from Chio Air, so the cooking methods of the sky beyond Avalon were still somewhat inferior. But food was better than nothing, not to mention that the food of the sky beyond Avalon had a very high energy value, which could effectively replenish Li Fan's vitality. Come, it just so happens that there are 2 bottles of wine, let us brothers share it. As Li Fan said this, he placed the food on the small wooden table at the side, then took out the 2 bottles of wine and gave one to Qianping. No, no way, Qianping waved his hand, this is the food that Jun Shang bestowed to you. What's more, alcohol is not allowed in the military camp. It's fine if you have a special pardon, but I can't. It's fine, no one comes here anyway. What's more, can this little wine still be called wine to you? Li Fan could see that this Qianping was also an old drunkard. Let's just drink a little. That grandson Sun Quan went out to drink and no one cared, so what's wrong with the 2 of us drinking a little? If Jun Shang wants to talk about it, I'll take care of it for you. Good. Qianping was tempted. This little wine was indeed not much, drinking a little was harmless. Thus, the 2 of them sat down and began to drink and share the delicacies. Darren, let me speak the truth, our military camp. Do you think, can we really win the war? Li Fan asked as he ate and drank. Although he defeated 2 of King Ku's subordinates today, he had to admit that the other side's military discipline was much stronger than this side's. It's hard to say. Qianping couldn't help but sigh. Although Jun Shang treats us very well, he unknowingly indulges a group of people. I don't need to say anything about the situation in our military camp, you've seen it for yourself. Look at these fellows, how many of them can go to war? Especially Sun Quan Centurion Battalion, all of them eat, drink and have fun. When they go to war, they're all done for. Then what do you think we should do? Don't tell me we're not going to fight this war. Fight, of course we're going to fight. Although Qianping was depressed, his fighting spirit was strong. There are no cowards in our people. King Ku is shameless, he actually dares to make a move on my Jun Shang. Even if I have to go back 100 years in my cultivation, I will still destroy King Ku's battle spirit. Li Fan said that although most of the Yu soldiers were weak, there were still loyal soldiers like Qianping. Unfortunately, there were too few people like Qianping. It would be even more difficult to deal with King Ku's army. Actually, it's fine if it's others, but King Ku has 50 cavalrymen under his command. That's the most important thing. Qianping put down the wine bottle and wiped his mouth. They have 50 cavalrymen while we have 20. It's hard to fight. Speaking of which, why don't I see the centurion of the cavalry battalion? Li Fan was trying to get information out of him. The cavalry battalion is made up of the elites of the elites. These people are even more arrogant than Sun Quan. Qian Ping curled his lips. This bunch of grandsons are probably hugging some women who worship them to sleep. What the hell? So in the realm beyond Avalon, there was such a thing as grass powder? Alright, I won't nag you about this anymore. We've almost drunk enough wine. After you feed the horses, go back and rest early. The war is imminent. Tomorrow, Lord General will personally come to inspect. Maybe the Jun Shang will also come. At that time, I'll see that bunch of grandsons Sun Quan won't be able to bear the consequences. Alright, I respectfully bid you farewell, Lord. Li Fan sent Qian Ping off with his eyes. At the same time, he had a basic understanding of the fighting style of the realm beyond Avalon. If he wanted to know more information, he had to climb to a higher position. Only then would he be able to get close to the core of power. With his current position as the horse protector, he was afraid that the information he could find out was only this little bit. Li Fan decided to gain military merits and climb up. After he finished feeding the horses, he returned to the camp to sleep. Lying among a group of men, Li Fan couldn't help but cry. Damn it, I really want to quickly finish my mission and go back to hug those beautiful girls to sleep. Chapter 1692. Early the next morning, the Decurion kicked them out of bed one by one. Get up. The general is here. The Decurion kicked him hard. Although Li Fan was already awake, he still pretended to be asleep and was kicked out of bed. It was better to keep a low profile so as not to attract attention. Li Fan didn't just sleep that night. He probably thought of a strategy to disrupt Sky Beyond Avalon. Although Sky Beyond Avalon loved to fight, they relied on the Dharma Body Battle Spirit system to perfectly avoid the decrease in population in Sky Beyond Avalon. Since that was the case, if he wanted to destroy Sky Beyond Avalon, he should promote their fighting and turn the entire Sky Beyond Avalon into a chaotic war. 49 vassal states, let them all fight it out. Moreover, if he could make them all give up on this battle spirit system, that would be even more perfect. Let Sky Beyond Avalon kill each other. Li Fan and the other soldiers of the same battalion put on their uniforms and stood neatly in front of the soldier battalion. In front of another barracks, hundreds of soldiers stood there. However, they were all dressed sloppily and stood casually in front of the barracks, waiting to be inspected. Seeing them like this, the Decurion couldn't help but twitch his mouth. I'm so envious of the people of the 1st Battalion. Yeah, I heard they're living a very carefree life. All of you shut up. The Decurion shouted and these people shut their mouths, not daring to make a sound. The two centurions finally walked over. Qian Ping and Sun Quan didn't like each other. Although the two of them walked together, they were at least 10 meters apart. Greetings, sir. 30 soldiers of the 2nd Battalion shouted at the centurion Qian Ping. All of you, keep your spirits up. The general will be here in a moment. I heard that Jun Shang will also come today. All of you better perform well. These soldiers were all excited and almost hugged each other. Jun Shang will come. That's Jun Shang. Among the vassal states, the person with the highest status was the monarch of the state. If anyone could see Jun Shang, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they could catch Jun Shang's eye and be granted a noble title, that would be even better. Especially someone like King Yu, a lord with a good reputation. Who in Yu City didn't want to meet her? On the other side, the people in the barracks also cried out in surprise. It seemed that they also knew about this news. Everyone, prepare yourselves. Don't be like that group of people. They look like ghosts. How are they soldiers? The soldiers on Qian Ping's side were still all right. Although they were not spirited, at least they were dressed neatly. Looking at the 1st Battalion, they were not even dressed properly. Li Fan couldn't help but shake his head inwardly. This kind of military discipline was really unacceptable. He's here, he's here. A sentry in the distance made a gesture, and all the soldiers immediately became alert. They put their hands on their thighs and stood up straight. My lord has come up. In the distance, a few figures walked over. Naturally, Li Fan already knew the person walking at the front. The beautiful King Yu was still wearing a red dress, but this time, her dress had a spear family emblem on it. Beside her was a woman. This woman looked fresh and refined. She really looked like a beautiful celestial fairy. She was dressed in an aqua blue dress, and beside her were 4 sturdy experts. Li Fan immediately determined that this blue-clothed beauty's status wasn't low. To be able to make King Yu follow her closely, she was probably a duke of a certain country. Beside them was a middle-aged general in black armor. This middle-aged general didn't look like an ordinary expert. He was at least at the level of an inferior immortal. The general's eyes swept over. His gaze was sharp, but he didn't notice Li Fan. Welcome, General. Welcome, Lord. All the soldiers shouted in unison. Not bad. The general was quite satisfied. Lord, look, our army is still very good. Li Fan was speechless. How could this thing be called good? Your definition of the army is too lenient. And, along with our cavalry, dealing with King Ku won't be a problem. The beautiful King Yu also nodded. This time, Li Fan was completely speechless. You want to fight King Ku with this bunch of things? Those 2 idiots under King Ku can take a bunch of you down. However, Li Fan could only keep these words in his heart and not say it out loud. However, he was currently attached to Yu City. If he watched as King Yu was defeated by that brainless King Ku, it would affect his plan. Ruo-1, what do you think? Pretty good. When the time comes, I'll bet on you winning. The blue-clothed beauty smiled at the beautiful King Yu. 2 women, one was like ice and the other was like fire, attracting the attention of all the men. However, everyone could only look and didn't dare to have any thoughts. This was the Lord. The Lord's friend was so close, how could he be an ordinary person? Miss. The battlefield is very dangerous, for your safety. It's best not to get close. A sturdy guard at the side immediately knelt down and said to the blue-clothed beauty. With King Yu protecting me, how can there be any danger? Yes, I'm here. The beautiful King Yu seemed to be very confident in her own strength. However, it was quite right, these high immortals were all about the same strength. In the battle with King Ku, the strongest person on the other side was that King Ku, who also had the strength of a high immortal. In addition, with these 4 burly men surrounding her, who could hurt her? Forget about others, even if she made a move, she probably wouldn't have the ability. Miss, who do you think is stronger between my army and King Ku's army? King Yu pulled his good friend's hand and asked directly. King Ku did flaunt his army in front of me last time. The blue-clothed young miss placed a hand on her lower lip and thought for a while. However, I don't really like him, so I didn't pay much attention to what he said. I only vaguely remember that he had 50 cavalry or something. I do know about King Ku's cavalry. King Yu was still proud, but the people in my camp can defeat 10 of them. As for my cavalry, 1 of them can defeat 3 of them. Pfft, Li Fan couldn't hold it in and finally burst out laughing. In an instant, Li Fan felt all sorts of fiery gazes landing on him. What are you laughing at? The general immediately stared at Li Fan. His gaze seemed to be able to kill. Are you mocking my Yu City's army? Centurion Qian Ping and the decurion were also badly frightened. The decurion immediately knelt down in front of King Yu and apologized profusely. "I'm sorry, Lord King Yu, he is a recruit and doesn't know the rules. I will definitely teach him a lesson." If King Yu blames him, he would definitely be punished. "Li Dezhuang, this brat, is he trying to kill me?" Chapter 1693. It wasn't that Li Fan wanted to laugh, but he really couldn't hold it in. "Men, drag this brat away and beat him 40 times. Then lock him in a small dark room. After that, he will be at your disposal." The general waved his hand and was about to give the order. Qian Ping knelt there and muttered in his heart. King Yu had even sent someone to deliver food to Li Dezhuang yesterday, so the two of them should know each other. After this happened, wouldn't King Yu protect him? But King Yu was just standing there. The beautiful woman's expression didn't look too good. No rush. The young miss was a little curious about Li Fan. It seemed that this was the first time she saw someone like Li Fan. With a wave of her hand, the general definitely wouldn't dare to say no. "Young miss, this person is probably a spy sent by King Ku." The general cupped his hands towards the young miss. It could be seen how high this young miss's status was. "He is not a spy." The beautiful King Yu finally spoke, "He just doesn't know the rules." Since King Yu had spoken, the general could only hold back his anger and retreat to the side. However, he turned his head and glared at Li Fan. "Young miss wants to ask you a question. If you say anything wrong, be careful of being locked in a small dark room for 1,000 years. Being locked in a small dark room for 1,000 years was the heaviest punishment in Sky Beyond Sky. Sometimes, loneliness and darkness could indeed drive people crazy. Come here, I have something to ask you." Since the young miss summoned him, Li Fan didn't put on any airs. He quickly walked forward and cupped his hands towards the young miss. "Young miss, please ask. Why did you laugh just now? Don't you believe King Yu's words?" The young miss looked at Li Fan with a puzzled expression. Jun Shang is confident in his troops, but she is Jun Shang after all. She doesn't live in this military camp all the time. Li Fan's words were rather well behaved, but every word was sharp, but too much confidence is conceit. "I want to ask, how many years has it been since Jun Shang fought with King Ku?" "Over 100 years. Hearing Li Fan ridicule her, although the beautiful King Yu was unhappy, she still had self-restraint. However, she still had to say what she had to say. "If you speak rudely to this king again, you'll have to bear the consequences. Jun Shang, we haven't fought for more than 100 years. How can you say that our infantry can fight against 10 and our cavalry can fight against 3? That's how it is. After fighting for so long, I always have the upper hand. Bringing down the king. That's not proper at all. Perhaps in the past, the Yu army was strong and well-trained, able to overcome poverty and weakness. But on the first day I entered the camp, I could feel that our camp was slacking." Li Fan pointed at the 1st Battalion. "The 1st Battalion is the largest and most complete 100-man team here. But with this kind of military discipline, if you give me 10 people, I can wipe them all out." "Bullshit." Sun Quan exploded when he heard that. He immediately scolded Li Fan, "Who do you think you are? How dare you slander me? I think you're tired of living. Shut up." The bull general glared at him. "Did I allow you to speak?" Shouting and wrangling in front of Jun Shang, where is the propriety? "General, Jun Shang, you guys have to uphold justice for me." Sun Quan is very unconvinced. He cupped his hands. "I, Sun Quan, am a veteran who has won countless battles for us. Back then, Jun Shang trusted me and promoted me to a centurion. If Jun Shang feels that I'm incompetent, then remove me." "Sun Quan, calm down first. The beautiful Yuang also felt a headache. This newcomer, Li Dazhuang, is not only a scoundrel, he's also a bit of a thorn. With him doing this, it seems like she has lost control of the camp. Sun Quan is a veteran and has a high prestige in the 1st Battalion. Furthermore, he has never made any mistakes. For Li Dazhuang to say this about him, could it be that someone instructed him to? Qian Ping. You must be the one who urged this kid. Sun Quan also insisted on Qian Ping, you're just jealous of me and want to destroy my 1st Battalion, right? Justice is in the hearts of the people. Qian Ping coldly snorted, Sun Quan, I've always told you that you're arrogant and despotic. As a centurion, you don't train your own soldiers but instead spend all day drinking and having fun. The military camp had almost become Sun Quan's private club. Now, even the newcomer can't stand it anymore. I just said a few words and you can't stand it. This is called slandering me. This is called slander. Sun Quan's face turned red with anger. This father's 1st Battalion has astonishing battle strength. Don't talk about Kuwang, even if 2 more vassals come, I can still beat them until they don't know north. Not necessarily. Li Fan smiled, what battle strength does your army have? I'm just a new recruit, but I alone can challenge 100 of you. Bullshit. Bullshit. Hearing Li Fan going from 10 people to 1 person challenging 100, Sun Quan cursed. All of you shut up. The general berated, all of you shut up and listen to Jun Shang and Big Miss's questions. Yes. Li Fan cupped his hands, indicating that he's willing to listen. Kid, today I must teach you a good lesson. Sun Quan is still in a bad mood. Pointing at Li Fan, he continued to curse, I'll let you, shut up. The general suddenly roared. A wave of sound directly hit Sun Quan's body, causing him to fall on his butt. Sun Quan crawled up, his face turning even redder. But he doesn't dare to challenge the general. Jun Shang, Big Miss, please make a decision. Since this young generally said that he can fight 100 by himself, why don't we let him prove it? Big Miss and King Yu glanced at each other, then said, but fighting 100 by himself might be a bit exaggerated. Let's give young General League 9 people. Using 10 to fight 100, if he can't do it, then this young General Lee will be locked up in a small black room for 100 years as punishment. Of course, he still has to apologize to Centurion Sunday, then what if I win? Li Fan suddenly asked. Impudent. Did I allow you to speak? The general reprimanded Li Fan, but Big Miss only smiled. If you win, then you will become this battalion centurion. How about it? Very fair. Li Fan nodded, but if I win, not only do I want to be a battalion centurion, I want to lead the entire King of Yu's army. Ha, what big words. Ping could not help but interrupt, you brat, you don't have much ability, but your ambition is not small. You actually want to be my Yu's general. The general did not say anything. Even his expression did not change. General Feng, what do you think? Big Miss seems to be making the decision for the beautiful King of Yu. She seems to be very interested in this matter. If he can do it, then it means that he is a capable person. The general said without hesitation, if he is truly capable and can strengthen my Yu's army, then even if I have to give up my position, I will be willing. General Feng is my Yu's cornerstone. How can he be replaced by a little scoundrel? The beautiful King of Yu finally could not help but say, even if he can win, then just give him a deputy general position. Thank you Big Miss, thank you Jun Shang. Chapter 1694. Li Fan immediately raised his serpent-punishing stick and bowed his head in thanks. Don't be in a hurry to thank me. The Yu monarch glared at Li Fan, if you continue to cause trouble, then don't blame me for personally taking care of you. That 40 strikes is too little, I will personally give you 100 strikes. The beautiful monarch personally giving him 100 strikes, the surrounding people all felt a chill down their spines. Okay, then his flesh would probably split open, and he wouldn't be able to recover even after lying in the small dark room for a year. If I really lose, I would be willing to let the Lord personally beat me. Li Fan looked at the beautiful monarch and laughed. The monarch was angry in her heart. This stinky brat really doesn't care about the law. The monarch's emotions were very complicated. She wanted Li Fan to win, but at the same time, she didn't want him to win. Still lose. The more miserable the loss, the better. It was time to let this brat know the immensity of heaven and earth. At that time, she would beat him up and lock him up for 100 years. When he comes out, he would probably be a lot more restrained. She would train him well, and in the future, he would be able to become a centurion or something. Maybe, he could really be her left and right hand. When she goes to Earth and rules over such a big place, it wouldn't do if she didn't have a suitable person to help her. What was she thinking about? She should first let this brat learn a lesson. Ping used to be a capable general under her, and his first battalion would definitely be able to teach this new recruit a good lesson. Ping, bring your first battalion and fight for our Yu's glory. After the monarch finished speaking to Ping, she looked at Li Fan. Li Dazhuang, go pick your people. 9 people, you have to choose well. Li Fan accepted the order and walked in front of the 2nd Battalion, looking at the dumbfounded soldiers of the 2nd Battalion. Fellow comrades, who is willing to fight with me? Everyone looked at each other, thinking that this brat was blindly showing off. This was a matter of courting death, who would dare to follow you? 10 people against 100, this was clearly a matter of courting death. How could they win? Everyone, you are all soldiers of the monarch, could it be that you don't even have this bit of courage? Li Fan asked in a loud voice, right now, who doesn't know that the monarch has been recruiting soldiers for the past 2 years? Just the cavalry alone has 50. There were more than 500 infantrymen. At that time, all of you will have to fight 1 against 5. This is just an act. If you guys are so cowardly, how can you even talk about going to the battlefield? I think you'd better clean yourselves up and go home to raise cows and farm. Well said. The more Qian Ping looked at Li Fan, the more he liked him. Come, I'll accompany you. So what if it's just the 2 of us? If we can't beat 100, we can beat 50. Qian Ping's heroic appearance also made Li Fan very emotional. For King Yu to have such a subordinate was not bad. Since the centurion is going, how can I not? The decurion thought to himself, I'm going to die either way, so I might as well take a gamble. Then I'll come too. Fuck, let's go for it. A few more reckless soldiers walked out and stood beside Li Fan. Exactly 10. Li Fan was delighted. These 10 people were enough. With these 10 people, it was enough to destroy Sun Quan's 100 men. In fact, he could do it alone, but in order to conceal his strength, he could only be conservative and play some fancy tactics. Good. The 2 of you fight in your own camps. King Yu pulled the young miss's hand. Young miss, follow me to the sky to watch the battle. With that, she waved her hand. The black leopard immediately walked out from the void and carried the 2 beauties on its back. Then, it stepped on a black cloud and floated in the air. Brat, just wait for the military rod. Sun Quan and Li Fan's grudge could be considered to have been formed. He turned his head and shouted at his subordinates. Brothers, there's an idiot who thinks he can provoke us. Do you think we can let him go? No. Kill him. I'll fight 10 of them alone. Over 100 men started talking at the same time. Sun Quan led them back to the 1st Battalion and entered the camp. Very quickly, 100 battle spirits wearing black armor and carrying long spears walked out of the camp. They formed a 100-man formation and aggressively waited for Li Fan and the others. And Li Fan and Qian Ping also entered the camp. The moment they entered, the Decurion who just said he wanted to go all out immediately had a bitter expression. Say you, why are you jumping around blindly for no reason? Now look at us, with just the 10 of us, can we beat a 100-man team? We are all new soldiers here. The first camp has fought God knows how many battles. What do you have to compete with them? The first camp has won too many battles in the past and has long become a proud army. A proud army is bound to lose. Li Fan was full of confidence. They haven't fought for more than 100 years. These people are no longer the brave and skilled soldiers of the past. Each and every one of them is living like a prince. Just based on this, you have the confidence to defeat them. That's right. Just based on this. Of course, we still need to add some small tactics. Alright, you command. I believe in you. Qian Ping was very confident in Li Fan. This kid was not an idiot. He would not mess around. Thank you, Centurion. Everyone, listen to my arrangements. After a while, the people of the second camp finally moved. 10 people walked out. Among these 10 people, Li Fan stood at the very front. The Centurion and Decurion stood on his left and right respectively. Like him, they both carried great spears. And the remaining 7 people stood by their sides. They did not hold spears in their hands, only shields. Everyone, charge with me. Li Fan took the lead and led the team of 10 people. Instead of retreating, he directly charged towards the opponent's 100-man formation. A group of idiots. They don't even have spears. How can they defeat us? Sun Quan saw Li Fan and the others and sneered, brothers, eat these 10 people. Let them know the strength of our first camp. Just 10 people. We can kill them in minutes. Centurion, let's go and kill them. The people of the first camp did not put Li Fan and the others in their eyes. A Decurion volunteered to lead his men and directly charged towards Li Fan. Ha! Li Fan looked at them and could not help but want to laugh. Since that was the case, then he will not be polite. He suddenly took the lead and directly charged forward and raised his spear. This time, Li Fan did not imitate the Xianyuan swordsmanship of the martial emperor, but his own dragon-subduing sword. What was the specialty of the dragon-subduing sword? It was fast, accurate and ruthless. Li Fan's sudden attack was like lightning. The Decurion that was charging at the front did not even have time to react and was directly stabbed in the throat by Li Fan. Li Fan sent the Decurion's battle spirit flying high into the air. The 2 people beside him also thrust their spears at the same time and pierced through the hearts of the other 2 battle spirits of the first camp. The remaining 7 wanted to attack, but their shields surrounded them like a turtle, protecting them from being attacked. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.